Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cantina MX Football Podcast, episode 434. Boy, is it hot over here in California, and so is the off-season drama in Liga MX. Of course, we also have La Selección and Jimmy Lozano's men that will be going to Copa America. Some controversy there. The sub-23 team in Toulon, France, duking it out. And of course, rumors, drama, you name it, we're here for it, live on Twitter Spaces and of course, YouTube. So hang out on those channels. We'll make sure to call you out on your bullshit. It should be a good one tonight. And of course, alongside with me, my co-host and good friend, Joel. Joel, how we doing on this Tuesday?
Doing good, homie. Doing really good. Excited about Copa. Even though I don't think Mexico win it, but there should be a lot of really good games in the tournament.
Absolutely. And, you know, I've been pretty distracted with all the Copa America stuff because of all the drama going on in Liga MX. I think the one that's really pissing me off is Paunovic joining Tigres. We'll talk about that. And then also, this, I don't know if it's official yet, but there has been some rumors about America moving their official league matches next season to the States. I know that they're undergoing renovations in anticipation of Copa del Mundo, and this is a great excuse for them to bring games to the States, and this is territory. It's like we haven't been here before, but we saw this coming a mile away.
Uncharted territory, Jaime.
Uncharted
Official
territory.
games. Yeah, because Liguilla would be insane. I don't think all of their games. I think a good chunk of them. I don't think they said all of their games. Just some of their games to Los Angeles. So Coliseum was known as Azteca del Norte. That's a pretty big stadium, though. All these stadiums are big. I wonder, but given that the whole novelty of a league, I do think they would easily put over 60,000 people.
Oh, easily. And,
Yeah.
you know, we talked about this before. We had a exhibition match at the Rose Bowl last year, Chivas America, and it was like sold out. And I knew once that happened, it's like, oh, they're going to open a can of worms and find any excuse to bring official matches over here.
Well, they've always have been since man. I used to go way back at Coliseum when it was $20. You would buy the ticket at the gate, and it was first come first serve for seating. So you had people there 3 hours early just to get sit all the way in the front or wherever they wanted. And yeah, even back then, we're talking like early '90s. They were bringing in a good 80K. I don't think they ever filled it, but that stadium was undergoing a lot of renovations, so I don't think it was ever at full capacity. I know it's been getting worked on since USC took over. They took over like the lease of they got like the stadium, like the university got like the rights to like control the stadium for like something like 90 years, something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, just really quick, because the management company that had the stadium was like, there's all sort of stuff going on. Like they were filming pornos. They would host the raves, the EDC, and I think they all lost it because this cleaning lady, broke her foot.
Oh.
She was working in an area of the stadium, and she went through it or something, and it broke her foot, and they didn't pay her, like they didn't like pay her. She just wanted her medical paid, and she opened a lawsuit, and that opened the whole can of worms. And I'm pretty sure the university saw that. They're like, fuck it, let's let's slide into those DMs, and they just took over, massive took over. That would be crazy though,
I
because they
remember.
come to see a stone throw from LAFC Stadium. For those that don't know,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't someone die at EDC, and that's why they moved it to Vegas? Because I
yeah,
remember.
it was a
Yeah.
15-year-old girl, but
Yeah.
that's not why they lost the stadium rights. But
Oh.
that did happen. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the OD.
Yeah. Shout out to my cousin Jose. He used to work security for those events, and he he said he did EDC one time. He's like, "Fuck that! I'm never doing. I quit, dude." Like, I guess like people couldn't get access to the bathrooms. There wasn't enough bathrooms for, so people were just like shitting and pissing where they stood.
I worked once really quick. Uh, I a friend of a friend was like one of the ticket companies, so they paid me. I was just standing around directing people to the gate. That's but it was like 8 hours or more of just standing there. But they gave me a bracelet, so that was cool. Like a no access.
Oh yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, it was that. I'm gonna finish with my old man stories. It was that dude that he has like a Mickey Mouse, Dead Mouse, Dead Mouse. That was the guy.
Dead
All right.
mouse.
Yes. All right. Síguele, Jaime.
Yeah, I just think it's a slippery slope if we go down this path. Like, hey, look, we don't have a stadium, so can we play games here in the states? It's like a perfect excuse for America to bring Liga MX to the states. I mean, they already have so many friendlies out here. Just this past Sunday, we had the old heads, the Leyendas de America and Chivas duke it out in San Jose, and it was a really good attended game. And obviously we have all the partidos moleros out here already. So what's some official Liga MX matches gonna do as far as harm goes, right? Like the people want it, the people are willing to pay top dollar for it. Why not bring Liga MX to the states? But like, what a slap to the face of the actual fans that live in Ciudad de Mexico or Guadalajara. It's like, dude, I can't even see my own team. They're taking them to the norte. It just opens up a can of worms and a slippery slope.
I mean, let's just be honest. America is doing the most Mexican thing, and they'd rather come over and be wetbacks than be homeless in Mexico City.
It's true. They don't have a home, and I'm surprised they've waited this long to decide what they're going to do next season, because you would think they would try to get a stadium secured for next season, especially with Liga MX being such a short break. um, I heard that they might even bring games to Estadio Jalisco. I'm like, bro, you're not even in the same state. That's crazy.
But they have always that's always been one of the sayings in Liga MX that there's more Águila fans in Guadalajara and that there's more Chiva fans in DF. And I think any stadium they play in, I think they're pretty much home team.
I mean, the same thing can be said about Cruz Azul. Doesn't matter where Cruz Azul goes, they'll fill up your stadium.
That's true. They will, but you can't compare America's fan base and Cruz Azul's, at least in the states. Don't get me wrong.
Huevo, we have jobs, ya que ellos roban. ¿Qué pedo?
Yeah, I'm curious, because I also coincidentally read something about FIFA starting to consider that for other leagues, like allowing leagues to bring their games, globally. To I know the Prem League could do it here in the states. They have that good partnership with the NFL. They already use the Spurs stadium to host games, to host NFL games. They just had a baseball game in London. So I feel like the UK has already been open to having American sports in in the UK, but how would they feel about bringing the Prem League to the United States? I don't think it goes both ways, especially how deep rooted the passion is in England for your teams. I don't think the fans would allow it.
The thing is, would it be that much of a money grab to have them come over the way it is hand over fist when you convert dollars into pesos?
That's true.
Like that's the big thing, man. It's the conversion rate. That's why I love vacationing in Latin America. Like one of my favorite things that I tell people is like, yo, bro, have you ever been so broke that you looked at a $1 bill and wished it was a 20? Go to Mexico. Live that beautiful life that you've been wanting. You know what? You see this baddie that you think is outside of your league, pull a fucking Chris Tucker and just be like, America, you want to come to America with me. And that's it, bro. You got your nalgona from Zapopan. Like, you got it on lock. And that's the beauty of Mexico. Ahora, el pedo es, como dijimos, like, America doesn't have a home. They don't have anywhere else to go. I honestly think what they're going to do is that they're going to spend all of this next season just hopping around the U.S. So America will always be local.
Yeah, that would make sense. I wonder which cities would have the honor to host America. Obviously, they would take it up and down California, probably in Texas, maybe in the East Coast. I don't know. I do have El Rifado returning. Thanks for returning to the show. Welcome.
For having me. I just wanted to touch on this theme of, the migration north for Liga MX. It's really interesting right now because, the numbers came out not too long ago. And for the first time ever, or maybe in a long time, the Premier League beat out Liga MX as the most watched soccer league. And so, it's not just the conversion rate, even though I'm sure that helps. It's also like the attempt to win back, the status of being the number one soccer league in the United States.
Is that for the season or weekly, monthly, or what? They
I'll have to pull up the article, but it was the most watched game was a Premier League game, and that was history. So I think it was one of the top teams in the Premier League that beat out, one of the top teams, or like basically America versus Chivas or some other Clásico. So, like the writing's on the wall. It's been on the wall for a while. Liga MX viewership has been stagnating here in the U.S. If anything, they've been losing people, over time. And I feel like, playing up north is a good way to captivate a younger audience, and, make new fans for life.
Yeah, that's a good call out because, I think we grew up watching Liga MX, but I look at the younger generation, my nephews, and like they support, like the global teams. They don't even care about Liga MX. And I don't blame them because, they don't really have as much access to them in English or in general compared to, Barcelona, Man City.
But Jaime, how big fans are they? Like, do they just watch it? Do they play it? Do they actually play the game? So I
Yeah.
noticed that.
So
I
it's
noticed that too.
Yeah, I have one nephew that actually watches the games with me. I have another, but both of them are obsessed with FIFA, and obviously Liga MX is not in FIFA,
Yeah.
so it's like,
No.
yeah,
Yeah. Because I remember going to, it was like an after school program, and the kids were all like, it wasn't even teams. It was Messi or Ronaldo. But a lot of these dudes, like, they'll play the other sports and watch the other sports, which a lot of us do as well. But I think, like, the bread and butter, like, when you see the fans going to the stadium, like when there's actual games, um, I don't think a lot of these kids would go watch a game. I don't think the majority of them would. Some of them would. So, and I do remember going back when, at least in more current times, when APL games, not games, teams started touring in the US, and they would play like Arsenal America or Manchester America. And the Mexican fans were always the vast majority. They were still like a good 75, 80% the fans in the stadium. I don't think that's changed as much, despite the what we saw with the viewership. I would begin to worry if it's like a weekly thing where it's like now they're overtaking Liga MX viewers.
Pero sí, güey. Pero mira, el rifado, no hay pedo, güey. Gracias por venir, gracias por darnos datos. Más que nada, güey, gracias por educarnos. Pero la cosa es, el pedo aquí es el mismo que nos ha dicho Rey Orozco, ¿verdad? No tienen acceso al producto mexicano, a la liga en inglés. The fact that we don't produce an English broadcast, an English feed, is hugely detrimental to us.
Otra vez con eso, güey. We already proved that.
Wey.
No, vale madre eso, güey. Nobody's watching that shit.
Wey.
They've done it many times.
Because they don't have access to it.
No, they not that long ago, they put the games on Facebook, live games on Facebook.
And
in English.
How many years ago was that, though? Because I feel like
exactly.
Not that far back, dude. It wasn't that far back. Not even 10 years.
No mames. Eso fue antes de que llegara mi mamá a Facebook, güey.
No, dude. No, way. No, it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago. And you'll go to the comments and people were like, "What is this shit?" They were complaining that that it was in English.
Sí, güey, exactamente. Un montón de pinches frijoleros están quejando de eso, ¿verdad? Y lo estás poniendo, espérate. Y lo estás poniendo gratis en el internet, entonces otro pinche montón de muertos de hambre son los que van a ir ahí, ¿verdad? No son los que están pagando, no son los que están invirtiendo, son los pendejos que votaron por Morena, ¿verdad? Entonces ese es el pedo. Ahora, si lo obtienes en televisión, vamos a llamarlo Fox Sports, primetime television, right? Not even primetime television, those hot piece of shit games that they throw on a Saturday at 1 o'clock, and you're like, ¿quién chingados es esto? I don't know, but they have the rights because NASCAR series is on delay. Ok, perfecto, y meten un pinche partido. ¿Por qué no puede ser un partido de Liga MX que está en inglés?
Yeah,
¿verdad? That's the exposure that we're missing. Yeah, we can throw it into fucking Facebook, donde tú y Ricardo ahí están viendo, tratando de encontrar un pinche feed que funciona.
That's Ron.
Nomás porque quieren ser...
Sorry, Ron.
That's Ron. Ron's always asking for the stream, for the Facebook.
Yeah, nomás porque quieren ser los antis. Pero no mames, güey. The fact that we don't have it is huge.
Don't hate on those Facebook streams. That's like when you watch those bootleg DVDs that some dude recorded from the cinema, and then you hear people coughing or you see them getting up to go to the bathroom.
Oh, trust me.
It adds to the experience, man.
Hey, wait. I don't hate on it. Football Andres holds me down all the time. All right, Roja Directa is like one of my number ones. Like, I hop around and sometimes I watch the Uruguay links.
What we're saying is, like, the league itself has not consciously made that decision, like, hey, we're not going to just, like, hire someone that is,
but they can't.
Somebody's nephew. No, it's like, let's actually make an effort to cater to this audience and actually not just use Google Translate to tweet the same shit in like a terrible...
Yeah, but let's be honest. Who's the talent that we have? The only real talent that's out there that can do the job and has done it correctly? No mames, güey. El único es Rodolfo Landeros.
You want to run the Chivas account?
I can broadcast the games in English. I'll just do it, bro. I'll pretend I'm playing FIFA and then put the stream in my thing, but it's actually the real game.
It's actually the real game. Hey, wait, what do you think Twitch is for?
Yeah.
I watch a lot of games on Twitch exactly like that.
Sorry, guys. I don't have a huge pair of tits, so I can't go on Twitch.
Oh, dude, all you needed to do is hit a couple more cheeseburgers. You'll be there.
We do have comments in the YouTube chat about Copa America. We will get there, Efren. But kind of just to put a bow tie on this discussion, would you guys go to an official Liga MX match in the States if they played near you? I know if Chivas America, an official match, came to LA or here, I would be there. Absolutely, I would. We're part of the problem.
Depends on the team. I'll be 100% honest. Depends on the team, because I'm not gonna go watch a fucking like.
What about Chivas? I mean, what about America Cruz Azul? You would go.
Güey, I almost
You go
fucking
Cruz
went.
Azul anyone.
Exactly. That's the point. Pero como dije, güey, no voy a ir a un pinche Querétaro Mazatlán.
You know they
A
wouldn't do
un...
Well,
that.
those aren't gonna count. Those aren't gonna count. Those are gonna wait where they play like a Pumas. They play one of the more popular teams, and then they'll host that
They,
game over here.
I
I
honestly
don't
think,
think you'll.
I honestly think Leagues Cup is a dry run for this. They're like, all right, let's see which teams get the most ticket sales. Obviously, Juarez, Querétaro's not going to do shit. They're not. They're going to stay in Mexico.
I think, honestly, the League's Cup is a dry run for the inevitable merger that there will be.
I don't
There
think
won't
they.
be a league merger. You
I don't
could
think
have
they'll
a cup
merge.
merger, but not a league. No, FIFA's
No.
not allowing that. Once you allow the league merger, then that's it. You have that G16 or what is it now? G24, G48, whatever teams. Which it was almost happening. Remember, they were like 2 signatures away. Do you guys remember this from like a few
Yeah,
years
about a
back?
year and a half ago.
Oh yeah,
When they're
even less. Who was it?
the
Real
Super
Madrid
League.
that last minute was like, nah, we're just. I think we're staying.
You know why
They must have
they would
gotten
never
they got a dumb truck of money from FIFA, dude.
they would never merge the leagues together because that would force Liga MX to run clean books, and we know that's never happening.
From Chivas would leave. The money's there. They'll be like,
With
later,
MLS,
bitches.
you can pull up anyone's salary, bro. You can like I don't know where Tigrita is, but if you ever run into a MLS player, like they're at the bar and they start bragging, you can go to MLS.com and pull up their salary and see how much they make. And
There's teams in Liga MX that would do it. The ones run by the big companies, the Monterrey, Tigres, Chivas would do it. I don't think Cruz Azul is. There's some. Sorry,
¿Qué,
Albias,
güey?
but
¿Qué tienes que decir de Cruz
there's some
Azul?
shady stuff. I don't know what's going on
Oh,
over there, man. It's a
oh,
what
bro,
type
we
of shit
bury
going
the
on.
bodies in cement.
It's a
Like we
yeah.
don't
It's
ask questions.
welcome, Ron. We were on the topic of America having games here in the States, official league matches. Obviously, you being an America fan, we'd love to hear your opinion on that. Are you for it? Are you against it? Would you be there with your pom poms and your bikini top?
I mean, I'm indifferent to it. You know, obviously with the remodel, the Azteca, they were going to look for other venues, and I mean Toluca, Querétaro, and Ciudad, Pumas Stadium. But there's always been every time America goes to play like a home game and at CEU, there's always problems.
Yeah.
So it was to be expected. It kind of depends on the schedule. I mean, I'd like to catch some official games. If Amit comes my way, like if they go to New York, if they go to New England, they go to here to Philly. I'd love to I'd go catch a game, but it really depends because I'm going to be traveling pretty soon during the summer.
I'll make sure they check with your schedule before they decide to make it official. But I know for sure, like obviously, California would be a prime location for a clásico. They did it, last year with the Rose Bowl, Chivas America
Yeah.
selling out. So, I just think that opens up a slippery slope. Like, all right, well, we're gonna have official Liga MX matches here. Hey, why don't you guys just like join with MLS, or merge the leagues, or and I don't know. I just think like long term, this is not good.
No, I don't. I think you're right on that. There's a tweet that I read earlier today. I should have saved it. Or I should have retweeted it. But apparently, I think I read that uh, they did like the ratings or whatever. How like Leagues Cup was number one, Premiership was number two. I think Bundes was number three, and then Liga MX was number four in viewership. And I would have to reread that article again or look at the source and the methodology. But if that's true, I mean, shit, man, that's Liga MX is in trouble. And because as long as I can remember, I mean, Liga MX was king in terms of viewership in the U.S. It doesn't. I mean, didn't matter. If it was English or Spanish viewers. Telecast.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that.
So
El Rifado mentioned that earlier, that viewership in Liga MX dropped and that Prem League had started gaining popularity. And I guess this is like Liga MX's response to that. Like, all right, let's just bring official matches to the States and get our ratings back up.
I don't think that's the issue. I really don't. I just think that overall I mean right now League MX is basically what the Central Americans were, 20, 30 years ago. They just gave up on their fucking leagues. They didn't care about their leagues. And it was all just Euro, watching Argentine League, watching, La Liga, watching Premiership and stuff like that, And I don't know. I mean, it's just times are changing, man. And it's sad, at least from my point of view, because I mean, I remember, many a lot of foreigners would say that, like, you know, I forget the player. I think he was actually, in fact, I think he played for Pumas a couple years back. But when they were kids, their dream wasn't to play for Peñarol or Nacional. I mean, it was to play for like Atletico Madrid or Juve or Real and stuff like that. And 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the Mexican, it was the Liga MX. I mean, their thing was to to play with Cruz Azul, Chivas, America, and you're starting to see that change where like the kids in Mexico, it's like they're treating Liga MX just like whatever, it's just run of the mill,
It's a stepping
and
stone.
yeah, and I think
It's the
that's
short
sad.
season, man. It's the and we've talked about this short season format. How you rarely see players that will be with a team that will be the face of the team. You used to have it often. Each team had their player that would do like the bulk of their career at one club.
Yeah, they used to have one club, careers, and you rarely see that with footballers nowadays. If
Well, I mean, that's just a whole trend in all of sports. But I'm talking about, I'm referring to I mean, putting Liga MX as your primary league to watch. Like for me, I really don't care. I really don't care about the Premiership. I really don't care about the Bundesliga. I'll watch, Champions League, towards the latter stages and stuff like that. And every now and then, I'll catch a Euro game, whether it's a La Liga or the Premiership. But it's not something that, oh man, I'm going to wake up to watch this. I'm not like that. My preference has always been Liga MX. And I
Güey,
guess,
qué chingados, aquí está Papi Pemex. ¿Qué se te olvida o qué?
what's that?
Que aquí está Papi Pemex, puro pinche producto nacional. Like, it's not that rare, bro. Nomás que puros pinches circle jerkers como esos cabrones aquí that all they want to do is watch the Euro bullshit.
I think we're just seeing it more on social media, but
Well,
I don't think it's everybody.
well, dude, I mean, if the ratings speak for themselves. I mean, I know that there's an over under there, but it just seems like I said. I mean, overall, it's just the league has lost its ability to attract its best players.
It's also the
Um,
level of access that you have to it. Like, let's be honest. Like, I can catch European games on NBC, Fox, Paramount, everywhere, right? In order to watch a Liga MX game, one, I need to speak Spanish. Two, I need to either have Univision in my part of the country because Univision doesn't broadcast nationally. It only broadcasts in certain areas. Two, I need to have purchased a VIX if I want to watch it within those areas where there isn't coverage. So the league itself isn't readily available as to how, hey, I get Peacock if I have what is it, Comcast Internet. Paramount Plus has like Italy, has a whole bunch of other fucking leagues, has champions, has
Champions.
everything in it. Like it is more readily available than what our own league is. So then, yeah, of course, you have it available in more screens. You're gonna get it on more screens across the table, and you're gonna have a higher number.
For sure. I mean, most games, most of Liga MX is broadcasted on Univision.
I get that, but the thing is that doesn't explain Liga MX not able to keep its best players, or when they come back, they prefer going to MLS rather than Liga MX.
Well, yeah, I mean, Chucky Lozano isn't
That,
going to get
I'm
that kind of
sorry,
salary in San Diego, anywhere else except San Diego.
That's
I
exactly
know.
it. Plus, come on, let's be honest, bro. You go to Europe, you live the European dream, right? You have that life. Y luego te dicen, hey, ¿sabes qué, güey? Te tienes que regresar a Guadalajara. The fuck you mean? I'm not gonna go back to Mexico. What are my other options? Well, you're kind of washed, dude. You're not that good anymore. Okay, what does that mean? Like, where can I go? Pues, you know what? MLS is always an option. They pay in dollars. Yeah, you're not gonna be a franchise player or designated player, however it is that they work that salary cap issue, but you'll be earning close to what you would have done in Chivas as a reserve player without the insecurity. Nah, no, pues a huevo me voy a MLS. And there you go. That is how the MLS pitch is done.
And you don't see that as a problem.
What, that Mexico is unsafe? Always has been a problem.
What I'm saying, there's always been crime and there's always been cartels in Mexico for as long as I can remember. But Mexico was still able to attract the players that were not able to go to the elite, the South American players that were not able to go to the elite clubs in Europe. They were able to come to Mexico. Liga MX is not able to attract top South American players anymore. They're not able to attract or maintain their top players anymore. So I
yeah,
totally
because MLS is becoming a more attractive project, bro. Like, and the fact that you can't see that means you're fucking up.
Wait a minute. I didn't say it. I didn't say that MLS is. I didn't. Don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say that.
Like, that's why we're not getting them, because what's easier to pitch? Once again, I just pitched it to you. What do you want, the Mexican dream or the American dream? And now let's start adding in the sporting factor, right? The fact that they export a high amount of players, not just to Europe, but all across. So, hey, you know what? I'm not making it here. Maybe I can make to the US, make some dollars, live a better life, and then hop over to a D League team in Holland, in the Netherlands, like somewhere. That's what's happening.
I have no problem with MLS poaching our players or attracting our players from Europe to go to MLS because they're doing us a fucking favor. If you are making that decision for monetary, like whatever your decision to go to the MLS, like we don't want you. And we don't want you on the national team either. It's that simple. It opens up room for other players. Good riddance. That's the way I see it.
I know, but what you're not capting is that it's lost value. The entire league, the league itself, it has lost value. It cannot retain for a number of reasons. It can't retain players. It can't attract players. Going through the motions, the international tournaments that they're playing are really of no relevance.
No caliber, no fucking prestige. It's fine, man. We're turning into a farmer league. We're gonna become one of those other leagues in South America that make all their money exporting players. That's
but here's the thing, though. At least Colombia, at least Ecuador, at least Bolivia, Paraguay, at least they can showcase their players in Copa America, in Copa Libertadores, Copa Sudamericana, not to mention all the youth tournaments, both at the club and national team level. Mexico can't even show off, those type of play, can't show them off the young players, much less, the young players in Liga MX, because really all they have right now is Leagues Cup and the new revamped Champions Cup,
Yeah, but we have
Ron, really quick, Jaime. Ron,
go ahead.
How do you explain MLS sending so many players abroad?
Well, keep in mind, there's a lot of things that favor MLS in terms of why they sell players, and one is because they're cheaper. That's bottom line. They're cheaper.
Bingo. That's I think that's the
But
same thing for Liga
but
MX.
but here's the thing. There's also a lot of players that have dual European, a nationality. That also helps out. When you're able to get, that Euro passport, that also helps you out and stuff. But again, it's a combination of a lot of things. Obviously, the dual nationality, the cheap, the cheaper transfer fees and the cost. Not to mention that just the way the clubs and MLS operate are completely different how the Mexican Federation and the clubs operate, because remember, for the longest time, and they still have it, the Pacto de Caballeros, it's just a different way of operating. And one's actually favored, one favors the player to go to Europe, where
Yeah.
not so.
Well,
um
my take was more on like the
but,
scouting and the other teams being able to see the players.
Yeah, here's another thing. There's also, and I forget who the play. I think it was Pulido. And there's a couple players from Tigres. What was it? One was Pulido. I think it was Pulido. The other one, there was, remember, Juan Pablo something, also from Tigres, or something, Garcia or something like that. I'd have to check. But the way you leave, if you leave a certain way, a club, you're basically persona non grata. And I remember Tuca was railing on this player. I forget who it was. He was like, he mentioned like like if you're going to leave to Europe, you have to leave how Raul Jimenez left. He left on good terms, with his club.
It's
You
Pulido.
know, it was
Talking about
Pulido, right?
Pulido.
So
Yeah.
then it's like, so he's like, and that's one thing is like, you have to leave if you're going to go to Europe or even to another Liga MX club. You have to leave in good standings, or else your career's fucked. In the future. I mean, there's certain ways, there's certain things that technically it's against FIFA laws. I mean, bylaws anyhow, but still, that's the way we've operated for 50 plus years. I mean, those are obstacles that MLS players don't have to jump
But
through.
Ron, they really haven't. They really. I haven't seen a player whose career got tarnished. Pulido came back
No,
and
no,
played with
no.
Chivas.
There was this.
Torrado,
No, remember the player? Remember the player from Atlas, Loco something, whatever, or was he
yeah,
Chivas?
Loquito Garcia.
Loquito
He
Garcia. I
came,
mean,
yeah.
that guy got burnt.
Well, I mean, he burned himself.
Well,
He came
but
to Chivas
that's the
USA.
point.
He
It's
ended up at Tigres. I mean, he kept collecting the checks still for. I said, no,
I
these
mean,
guys
you
just
have to.
disappear. But the natives
If
came
you
back twice.
Okay, just remember this,
It would have been a
because
third.
in a way you have to think like a Liga MX owner. So Liga MX owners, they don't have the luxury of having high school and college form your players, right? So these Liga MX owners, they spend a lot of money in player, in youth development and stuff like that. So obviously, they have they have an interest, a financial interest in these players. So if they're going to leave, the club wants to make its money, obviously. So when you have players that show that sort of, they don't show that gratitude, you're basically risking your future of ever basically being in the in crowd within the Liga MX FFM, family realm, because that's happened many, many times to players that, wanted to go to a bigger club or wanted to go abroad. And they basically say, you know what, screw you. And then you have those cases of like, Pulido or what's his name? That other the player, what's his name? Loquito, what's his name? Garcia or whatever?
Yeah, Loco Garcia.
Yeah, local guys, whatever, So that's what I'm saying. It's just there's different obstacles for Liga MX players, but I,
It was pretty random,
you know,
man, because Gerardo Torrado,
Yeah, but here's
That's
the
the
thing,
dispute
honestly.
with Pumas. He came back to a fat check to Cruz Azul, and then he still
So
had a long career with the national team.
there's always exceptions. Don't get me wrong. There's always exceptions. But I mean, I just like I said, I remember Tuca just railing on Pulido. I mean, on national TV, and he's like, and he was praising how Raúl Jimenez left. He left the team good standing. He was on good standing with the coach, with the club, with the owner and stuff like that. So I mean, just when I saw when I heard Duca just ranting about that, I remember I was thinking to myself, the Pacto de Caballeros that still exists, even though they say that it doesn't anymore.
Chivas did the same
Oh,
thing
yeah,
to Omar Bravo because
Yeah.
when Vergara, publicly applauded Chicharo for the way he went to Europe,
Yeah.
and Omar Bravo was pissed off because you know he had a lot of offers to go to Europe, and Chivas held him hostage, and
Oh, come on, Jaime.
and
How is
finally,
that holding you hostage?
nah,
Would
dude.
you sell your car? Would you sell your car 3 times cheaper to me?
No, I mean I'm just saying like
Seriously? Bro,
I
how is
I'm
that?
not I'm
How is
not
that?
I'm not defending defending like Omar Bravo. I'm just saying like from his perspective, he had no control over his contract with
No,
Chivas,
that,
and,
that,
and he wanted to go to Europe right after the World Cup, and then he had to wait till his career or his contract expired to go to Deportivo La
well, yeah.
Coruña, and he kind of
But,
missed that
but that's
window.
well, that's why you when you negotiate your contract, you stipulate that. I think that's where a lot of the Mexican players they just don't
I
know
know,
any
but back
better
then,
because
I
you've
I
seen.
think contracts back then were very simple. They weren't
No,
as complex as they are now. Were they?
hey, Joel,
It's not that far though.
Joel,
Yeah,
you touched on a very um, issue that also plays a huge factor into this. And let's just be honest, the Mexican player, soccer
yeah,
player, is a lot less educated
yeah.
than
They are.
the American
But,
soccer player.
but check just well, really
Okay,
quick. I'm just gonna say before I forget. I'm just
yeah,
adding to that. And and I hope you remember this. It was had to do with Borghetti when he went to the EPL, and they didn't know that he had Italian passport,
yeah,
so they were still using him as if he was a foreigner, and he and I don't think he bothered telling anyone that he had and and that was that would have made him more marketable, and I think that's a lot of Mex players could do the same, where if they have a career, um, it don't cost that much money. You just pay for like some investigator go through. You have like a grandfather or whatever, because getting that through Spain, it's pretty easy because they don't make it that difficult if you're Latin American. But if you did have a um, family member not that far back removed, you're on the express list. So I think a lot of them should be doing something like that as soon as they're playing pro, already trying to see if they could get that Spanish citizenship, and then they're more marketable at that point.
I mean, I don't think Wiki's going to get it anytime soon, but that's just no. But
No,
no, but going
but
back, going back
there
to
is a lot of players though.
no, but going back on something that you said about the Mexican player, I mean, look, I don't want to sound elitist because one of the things that has always bothered me, like for example, a lot of the comments that Jose Ramon, says about the Mexican soccer player, how they're just ignorant, uneducated, but he says it. I mean, he says it with malice. It always seems like he says it with malice, but there is some truth to what he says that the Mexican player lacks professionalism and lacks education because I mean let's be honest, the vast majority of the players come from impoverished areas. They have what junior high level education, some of them have high school, very few have collegiate studies,
True.
but that matters because of how you're going to do your contracts. If you come, like for example, like if you have a player that comes from high middle class or upper class and stuff like that, obviously they're going to know, how the legal system works, contracts and stuff like that. They're going to have their father. In fact, if I recall, I think it wasn't Torrado's father a lawyer.
Yeah,
I, I believe it.
yeah,
I believe his
something like
father
No
that.
was a
wonder
lawyer.
he's a little bitch.
No, no. What I'm saying is that matters because a lot of these players wouldn't be signing these stupid contracts if they actually had legal representation. And I've always said that, you know, when you compare to other sports and other leagues and other, parts of the country, you want a professional player, not just in terms of athletic ability, but also how you conduct yourself on and off the field. And that matters. I mean, that really does,
Just like to
that
pull
does
in one.
matter.
Unless
I'd,
you're
I'd like to add
Brazilian.
I'd like to add one little point to what you all are basically saying. I think you guys are all spot on, but I think you guys are missing the biggest issue why we don't see more Mexicans abroad, and
Let's hear
that's
it.
the inflated price tag. Like, we're in such a precarious situation here in Mexico where soccer is the number one sport, and by Latin American standards, Mexico is pretty well off financially. And then you
Hell
have
Yeah.
yeah.
that well off league augmented by a currency that is like 20 times, 18 times stronger than the peso. And,
But
and then, you combine that, and then what you have is a very inflated price tag. So, like, we have
And
someone
it's
like Alexis Vega going for $8-10 million, and
it's
then you
not a
compare
lot,
that
though.
to the Uruguayan who's going for 5,
yep.
and then
Yeah.
add to that the Uruguayan, his grandparents came from a boat,
Yep.
and what's it called? They have the
Llegamos en un
European
barco.
passport. Yeah, they have the
But
expedited
just
European.
really quick, the players have a lot to do with that as well. It's not just the clubs because they keep taking those big contracts. They keep accepting those giant contracts. And they could just,
Born into poverty. They have to
The,
make the bag.
the thing
They,
is,
I
though,
know, but once you do that, you committed yourself, and you
yeah,
can't
but
blame the club anymore. You took the
all right.
massive paycheck, and then how are you gonna now say that the club is holding you hostage when you agreed to this bonus and you agreed to all this other stuff?
I
And
call bullshit, dude, on all the you have to be educated, bro. Look at fucking Adriano, dude. That guy was a fucking bum off of the favelas, and he had a successful career in Europe. Like Argentina and Brazil are very
He's
impoverished
back in.
areas.
Hey, Adriano's back in the favelas, bro.
I know he is, but I'm just saying, like, you know, he got to Inter Milan. It's like because he's raw. He was a good player, and I feel like there's a lot of Brazilians that don't know what the fuck they're doing either. Like
No,
Argentinians.
you're right. Hey, I get it. A bunch of them come from impoverished areas too. I get that, but the thing is, they've been professional in name for a lot longer than Mexico has. I mean these guys. I, I mean they've had like we spoke about this. We touched on this briefly last week or the week before. Uruguay was a world champion basically 100 years ago. You know, and I mean they won the Olympics. They won this. So I mean we're in many ways Mexico is still behind Argentina, Uruguay, Brazil in terms of in terms of what do you call it in player development, competition. It's just a fact. I mean, obviously, nowadays, the gaps have closed. But like I said, we're still lacking. We're still lacking in many plays. I mean, just to give you an example, an example, when in Brazil, I mean, we're talking in the 50s. Brazil already had psychologists, doctors, dentists. They had a full, aside from the management, they had an entire team to look out for the welfare of these players. That was a new concept. That was a new concept for Mexico in 1970 and 78, right? In one of the worst showings for Mexico in a World Cup. The Mexican Federation did not have one delegate in the entire delegation that knew what it was to go to a World Cup. Not a team doctor, not a nutritionist, not a trainer, not a player.
And they had just hosted the World Cup 8 years prior.
Exactly. That's how backward
Holy
ass
shit.
sometimes, okay?
Oh,
That's
I mean,
they
crazy.
did. Ron, they didn't even scout the opposition, and that comes
yeah.
from the
I
players
mean,
themselves. They're like, we didn't know shit about Algeria. Who was it
and
that
here's
lost
here
100% Algeria?
okay, and here's another one. Here's another one. Okay, for the 1930 World Cup, which was the first World Cup. Okay, now there were other teams that arrived to Argentina. I'm sorry, or Uruguay. I'm sorry, or Argentina. The Rio Platense that got there with enough weeks to basically, get their sea what is it called, the sea legs out of,
Uh-huh.
because they had sea legs, right, to basically wear off those sea legs and basically get back to firm ground and practice. Fucking the Mexican delegation, they were fucking practicing, basically, little hacky sack on the damn boats, and they arrived to Uruguay like within the week.
Oh,
So
I
it's
thought they arrived
so
on burros, man. They arrived by
no,
barco?
no, but what I'm saying is that
No
that's
wonder they
just
lost. No, no, they didn't get to play. They had to play elimination, right? Or was that in Italy?
no, in Italy in '34 they actually lost
They
the
played the
qualifiers to the
U.S.
U.S. Yes,
in
yes,
Italy.
uh, in Italy,
You
in
probably
Italy.
did the
But
exact same thing, Ron.
no, but what I'm saying is it's like preparation. The
Ron,
administrative,
really, really quick, Ron. Who was the
yeah,
base of that 1930 World Cup?
America.
Okay, just making sure. Just making sure. Yeah, heck is heck, you know that.
No, but I'm just saying that the administrative part of Mexican football has been a problem since the very, very beginning. I mean,
Dead
just
on arrival.
think about this. They qualify. They make the World Cup, or I'm sorry, they're able to host the World Cup in 1970. Egos get in the way, and they fuck up in '74. They get the World Cup. They get the World Cup in '86, and they
Oh,
fuck it up
wait,
in
Ron.
'90.
They fuck up. Yeah, in '74 they don't qualify, and then in
No,
'78 what they
so
do was they
so
played
so,
all the games at Azteca,
so
which I
here's the
think
thing.
was hindrance. I
They,
think when
they,
playing.
they, they fuck up in '74. They fuck up in '82. They fuck up in '90. You know, and then and it's like I said. I mean, and some of and the way they fuck up is just stupidity. In '90 they screw up because of cachirules.
Yep.
In '82 and '74, it had
Wait,
to
wait,
do with
Ron. We need to dial it back because
yeah.
Cachirules was basically the Mex journalist throwing that team under the bus.
Well,
Would you have
yes,
done
that's
that,
part
Ron?
of it.
Would you have done that?
But here, what's that?
Would you have done that
What
if
I've
you
done?
saw like, hey, there's a discrepancy here? I'm pretty
No,
sure that guy is.
you can't. You know what? I don't blame Antonio Moreno for that. I don't blame Jose Ramon for that. They're doing their job. At the end of the day, it's the Mexican Federation, the coaches and stuff. They're the ones that have to be
But you
competent
don't
enough
think they
not to.
did it just to fuck with FMF? I was like,
It
well, we'll
doesn't
just get
doesn't
this one
doesn't
over the.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's no reason to play overage players when they were playing Chapines. Come on, if they're playing overage players to beat fucking the Central Americans, dude. Come on, balón cuadrado. Come on, you know.
Disco
So that,
Fever
like I said, I don't.
says all of Ron's points answers his reason why Liga MX is not a destination anymore.
Well, we're talking about the past, and some of these problems are carrying on into today and into the future. But the thing is, the 90 was because of the cachirules, right? And the one in '74 and the one
Wait,
in '82.
I gotta go back to Cachirules because it just shows like how massive Mex Federation has fucked up because CONCACAF had punished Mexico, and all they did was suspend the youth team. And so somehow in FMF they thought, well, we have Cañedo. He's a FIFA vice president. We're just gonna go straight to FIFA and get this overturned. Which I think was stupid. Like, you were already caught, and you're trying to get that
Oh,
overturned.
so originally they had only banned the young.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. That was the only punishment. FIFA came down with the ban hammer and said, "Fuck all your selecciones for the next 2 years or whatever."
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. There are whispers in the halls of basically CONCACAF and FIFA that's that has speculated that the reason FIFA went hard on the Mexican Federation was to ensure that the U.S.
No, that's just
no that the U.S. was going to participate in the 1990 World Cup because they wanted to make sure that the U.S. team had a what do you call it at least one World Cup under their belt before they hosted the '94 World Cup.
well, no.
So,
So
I mean,
part of it, well, this is the other part, Ron. It's more
okay.
political than that, Ron. It's just really quick because
So, but hold-
Mexico
okay.
had hosted. Wait, Mexico had hosted in '70.
Yeah.
By '86 was Colombia, but the U.S. was trying to get that bid after Colombia couldn't do it, and
No,
so
I'm aware of
the U.S. needed that to win that bid for their North American Soccer League, and they sent over Henry Kissinger. That dude was massive in politics, and the story goes that he gets to Switzerland over there in FIFA headquarters. He's doing the presentation of why the U.S. should host, and then in the back room is the Televisa XX already shaking hands with Joao Avalanche, who was the president, and they sort of like pissed this dude off, you know. And I think they get the World Cup soon after, which was '94, which was
So here's the thing. Here's what happened.
yeah.
Okay, so this is how it happened. Okay, so when Colombia got the World Cup for '86, it was still a 16 team tournament. So when they decided to go to the 24 team tournament, Colombia basically said, "Sorry guys, we're not going to have the money to accommodate for that or the infrastructure to accommodate for 24 teams." So they basically they said, "You know what, we can't do it." So then there were three teams that three federations that raised their hand: the Canadian team, the Canadian Federation, the U.S. Federation, and the Mexican Federation. And I believe there was one also in Africa, but they didn't turn in their paperwork in time. So then the Canadian team, the Canadian Federation, eventually basically admitted, you know what, we don't even have the stadiums for this. So then it was between the U.S. Federation and the Mexican Federation, and the only reason the Mexican Federation got it, and this was in Juan Dosal's book, Como Mexico No Hay Dos, if I'm not mistaken. He actually was. He talked about this. It was because Joseph Blatter, who at the time was a VP, basically assurances from all the stadiums and stadium owners that they were going to remove all the merch, all the the sponsorships and stuff like that.
Oh.
And he said, I don't want to go to Joe Robbie Stadium at the time, in Miami, and basically see other
Other
sponsors
brands.
and other
Wow.
brands and stuff like that. So that's really the only reason why the Mexican Federation got it, because they got a letter from the Mexican president giving assurances, whatever you want,
Yeah.
we will comply.
Wow.
Oh,
So that's why the Mexican Federation got the '86 World Cup.
Nah, man, come on, dude. That's the
No,
sick
hey,
version.
Germany.
That's-
Look it up. Germany almost did not get.
I agree.
Germany did almost
did
did not
the
get
US,
the. But listen,
but the US
Germany
hosted
did.
in '94. They did comply. I don't think that they wouldn't have not complied.
Well, but hey, even if they didn't, it helps to get a letter from the Mexican president to say, "Hey, FIFA, whatever you want, go have it.
You mean
You want to bang my wife?
Manila
Go ahead."
envelope?
You know.
Oh yeah,
but that's the point. But I mean, those sponsorship things are a big fucking deal. I mean, if you think about it, Germany was that close of not hosting the 06
06.
yeah,
uh
for the last,
Yeah.
yeah.
06 because of naming rights.
And
So they're
also,
like, if you
yeah, I mean, you saw what happened in Brazil, right?
yeah,
The beer tax, they had to have Budweiser at every game, and in Brazil
I was
they had banned alcohol.
hey, I was at the game in shit. Where was it? It was in Soccer City in Johannesburg. It was the Dutch and like fuck, who was it? The Netherlands and the Danes, I think. I forget. It was one of the most boring fucking games I've ever seen in my life, dude. But the only thing that was really that I remember about that game was I don't know if you guys recall, but there was this beer brand that was basically using like paid models and like they were paying them like buying them tickets and stuff like
Oh
that and
wait, they all dressed up in orange.
yes, that's the one.
Ah, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
that's bringing some good
Oh,
So I
memories.
mean
some good
I
spank
was
bank
in heaven,
memories.
dude. No, I was in
Times.
heaven, dude, because I was walking past those girls and I'm like, what the fuck,
Dude,
you
they
know?
were baddies, man. I remember they would show up because Mexico had a not a preseason, like a friendly before the World Cup,
Yeah,
and they played at some random stadium in Germany. And I remember the camera in the middle of the game just panning to the broads. I was like, "What is going on over here, dude?"
Are you talking Germany?
Yeah,
The last game prior to Germany, I was there. That was at a university.
yeah,
Fuck, Göttingen, University of Göttingen.
yeah.
I actually thought that experience was phenomenal because they played at this stadium that still had the stands like back in the 70s, 50s, dude, where it was all standing room. They had, it was just phenomenal. Dude. I mean, that's the type of environment that I would have loved to seen back in the 60s and 70s,
it's
you know,
the
and early
same.
80s.
Go to Argentina. They still got them old ass stadiums
I
with
know,
those
but not in the not in the
with those
first
big
division, you know.
Yeah.
benches. First division.
But yeah, no,
That's crazy.
but so like going back to like how the Mexican Federation keeps basically shooting. It's like they take they always keep shooting themselves in the foot, dude. I mean, they do something right and then they fuck it up,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and that's
royally, man.
and that's always been the case because like after they do something good, it's like the egos it's like the egos just start and then they fuck themselves over by missing out of World Cups, uh, not qualifying for tournaments, not qualifying for Olympics, and it's just it's a fucking mess.
Yeah. I
And and I mean obviously I think that's one of the
But
reasons why Mexico.
that Olympic qualifier wasn't that bad as it came in, as it gets made out to be. It's not like the team was getting their cheeks clapped every game. Just a one match where they missed like three penalties.
I'm not
And,
sure.
it's very similar to the one Pro Olímpico where Hugo Sanchez was the coach and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
missed like seven
Yeah.
clear goals, something
Against
like that.
Haiti. Yeah.
Yeah, what sucked was that they made that competition like a 2-for-1,
Mhm.
like a 2-for-1. You qualify to two tournaments, and so the media just came down hard on. But
But
I was
but that goes to what I'm saying is that for the federation has had a tendency of basically conceding advantages and giving them over to other members in the confederation. I mean, that's one of the reasons why they didn't go to the '74 World Cup because they decided to basically have the World Cup qualifiers in I think it was in Trinidad and
that,
Tobago or
that
in the
was the
Caribbean.
thing back then. They would just I think they would host. They would make it
No,
into a
no, no.
tournament and it was a country because '78 they played all the games at Azteca.
Okay, so here's this is okay. Do you remember? You remember for the longest time, there was a Mexican president in CONCACAF, right? Joaquin. Soraya Terrazas or something like that. It was Terrazas, right? So the story behind this guy is that he was at one point the most powerful guy in Mexican soccer. Okay. See, he was the president of the amateur sector of the FMF, right? So, and I mean, he goes back to like the 1940s. So, I mean, the guy knew everybody, held, the most important, post in the federation because at that time, the voting bloc, the voting power, the amateur sector had most of the voting power. So then there was internal strife and stuff like that, and the club owners basically said, guys, we're the ones that put up the money. We have more of the say." So basically, from overnight, it went from the amateur sector being the most powerful, organization within the federation, to basically being nothing. So then basically the first division was able to get most of the voting power to the point where even if the second division, third division, and the amateur sector outvoted, had it still wouldn't be enough votes to counter the first division votes. So long story short was that guy Terrazas, he basically felt betrayed, and he had a thing and he had a thing against Cañedo, Televisa's guy, right? Guillermo Cañedo. So he was just brewing. He was just pissed, and basically, you know what he said? You know what? I'm not going to be in the federation anymore. Fuck these guys. So he basically lined up, and he got in good with all the fucking minnows and like in the from the Caribbean, from Central America, and said, "Hey guys, I'll be your president. I'll basically make sure that you guys get a bigger slice of the pie." So basically, to fuck over Cañedo, he conceded. He said, "You know what? I want to fuck over Mexico. I'm going to fuck up and screw over Cañedo." I said, "We're going to have the World Cup qualifiers in uh, in um, in the Caribbean." So the guy was always trying to screw over Mexico, and not necessarily Mexico, but certain people within the Mexican Federation, and Cañedo being one of them. So I mean, for 30 plus years, Terrazas, whatever. I mean, he held the CONCACAF presidency, and it's not like even though he was Mexican, it's not like he was looking out for Mexico's interest. He was able to maintain that position because he had to accommodate all the little people, all the little small federations, and then that's when Jack Warner and what's his name, Chuck Blazer.
Chuck.
That's when they basically, once they got the Razas out of there, and Jack Warner became the Concacaf president. It was even worse. That guy, that's him. That's the guy, Blazer and Warner. They're the ones that basically, once they saw that Mexican Federation, the Mexico was starting to get better and stuff like that, and then they started participating in Copa Sudamericanas and Copa Americas and stuff. He says, guys,
Yeah,
I'm
shut
going to
it
put a
down.
halt to this.
Yep.
He shut it down, dude. He said, "Fuck you guys. You guys aren't going to Copa. You guys aren't going to Copa Sudamericana anymore. You're gonna give preference to the Champions League. You know,
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
but they
Hugo
had
Sanchez
to though,
once.
Ron. They kind of had to because they were rebooting all the tournaments, so Gold Cup and other club tournaments. They were like rebooting them and just making them more
You,
serious compared to how these
you,
tournaments.
you remember the movie, The Three Amigos?
Of course.
Okay. Do you remember early on when the Amigos go to Harry Flugelman's office asking for more money, and he goes,
I
"No
remember that
dough,
fucking name, dude.
no show." That's all. Yeah, that's all they had to do. That's all they had to do to fucking Warner and fucking Blazers. Like, hey, no dough, no show. Like, go fuck yourselves. And like Hugo Sanchez said it best. It's like we have more. We, even though they have more votes, we have more power.
Hmm.
You know,
For
but
sure. Guys, I have like two more burning topics for tonight, but I really appreciate the history of why we are where we are right now. And that leads us to our next conversation, the 26 men that will be representing Mexico in Copa America. Of course, with some controversy, starting with the goalkeepers. Acevedo brought in as an emergency to replace Malagon, who pulled his punani. I don't know what exactly his injury is, but he's out for the tournament. Julio Gonzalez and Rangel from Chivas. In the defense, you have Israel Reyes, Arteaga, Gonzalez, Garcia, Cesar Montes, Chiquete Orozco, Vasquez, and Jorge Sanchez. In the middle, Alvarez, Romo, Chavez, Pineda, Chiquito Sanchez, Charlie Rodriguez, Cortizo, and Marcelo Flores. He might be giving up to his sister to Jimmy Lozano too, because what is he doing on this list? And then, of course, the delanteros, Antuna, Alexis Vega, Piojo Alvarado, Santi Jimenez, Memo Martinez, Quiñones, and Chino Huerta. The players that were removed from this list: Alexis Peña, Victor Guzman, Nene Beltran, Jordan Carrillo, which for me hurts, and Andres Montaño. So 26 players going into Copa America. Guys, this is probably the weakest squad we have taken to Copa America since that time we had to send Vuoso out there in, what was it, 2011 or 2012? I forget what year
the
that
one
was.
that tied Chile in Chile.
Yeah,
No, the one in Argentina in 2011.
2011.
That's
I ruined it for me wrong because I wanted to go just for that, and then I saw the squad and I was like, I'm out.
Not to go on a tangent there, but I was so looking forward to that Copa America because thinking, man, it's going to be in Argentina, it's going to be phenomenal, and then fucking Warner and Blazer fucked me. But anyhow, yeah, I'm not feeling it, dude. Jaime, to be, the guys, to be honest, like I said, dude, I'm not feeling it. I don't think Mexico's going to advance with that squad.
Yeah. And, I get upset because it's like it's a generational change. They keep saying that on the media. They keep saying that. It's like, hey, look, we're going to have growing pains. But, why do you have players that have no reason to be there? Charlie Rodriguez, it's clear, like, he's not national team caliber.
Jaime, I don't. You know what a generational change was? 2010. That was a generational change. You had Carlos Vela, Giovanni Dos Santos. They were young, very, very talented. But there were a lot of other players because you were starting. You still. You were like you no longer had to. And this is something that La Volpe used to say. You got to start preparing that, you're not going to have the Osvaldos anymore. You're not going to have the Borghettis anymore. You're not going to have the Cuauhtemocs anymore. And he was right. So 2010 really was that like a generational change. What I'm seeing here is not really a generational change. We just don't have the talent.
Facts.
If we're being brutally honest, it's not a generational change. It's we don't have players. We don't have the talent depth.
Yeah, dude. On the money there.
At least, like you could make the case, like back then, and that 2010 World Cup, and those years, 2-3 years before and after 2010, we could say that was a generational change because, you were going from, you were basically saying forgetting about the Borghettis, the Matadors, the Cuauhtemoc Blancos, the Osvaldo Sanchez, those guys. I said, here's the thing, and this is not, I don't care. You can put Bielsa there, you can put Ben Acker there, you can put whatever coach you want there. That still doesn't solve that we don't have the players now. I don't think that we're gonna make it past the group stages. I really don't. I think it's gonna go. I don't think we're gonna go 0-3, but I just don't think that we're gonna make enough points to qualify into the knockout rounds.
This is my issue with this whole, like, these call-ups, right? Because I'm looking at some of these players like, okay, fine, we don't have anybody else, but we do have other players, but they're over there in fucking France playing a meaningless tournament, the Toulon tournament. It's like, dude, why don't we have, like, we sent our best under 23 players to this tournament. I'm looking at the other teams. They sent out their under 19s, their under 20s. Like, they're sending out, like, literally, like, teenagers to this tournament. We're sending fucking grown-ass kids that are over the age of 20, 23, I'm like, bro, they should be going to Copa America. Like, if we really have, like, I was like, where's Fidel Ambris? Where's Huescas? They're playing in this fucking tournament. What's the point of that tournament? You know, it's for exposure. It's to get to the next level. Dude, these guys already passed it. They're already playing first division minutes, right? Like, they should already be incorporated to our Copa America team, not being, held trying to college them for these youth tournaments. Like, they're literally playing against children. Like, I'm looking at some of these teams. France sent out their under 20s to this tournament. Japan sent out their under 19s to this tournament, as they should, right? They should be sending 17-year-olds to like under 20. But once you're over the age of 20 and you're not on the national team, it's like, bro, what are we fucking doing here? We're not doing anybody a favor.
Hey, question. Why isn't Lainez and Sebastián Córdoba, why aren't they in Copa America?
I don't know.
Injuries or
Do they not have sisters?
He picked up like some muscle injury and he had to drop out. As for Cordova, I assume he's out of form and recovering from an injury.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, because he didn't play. I think the last two games in the playoffs, if memory serves me. But
Flores play at all because he's also recovering from an injury, but I think he was deemed fit enough to continue on the tournament. So, I hope to see more of him because I thought he did good with Tigres. And, I don't want to change topics, but, with Paunovic as the new coach of Tigres, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to what he brings to from the youth, So, yeah.
I have Ricardo joining us. Ricardo, welcome to the show. How do you feel about this call up? I don't see too many America players on this list.
Good evening. Good evening. I don't see a lot of Chivas players either, but that's a different conversation. hey, real quick, I don't want to change the topic. I just want to add something to what you guys were talking about earlier in regards to I think it was Ron that mentioned that guy that posted an article about how Liga MX is like the third most watched behind Leagues Cup and Premier League. Bullshit article. That guy's full of shit. His title says he pretty much works for MLS. Fake news propagandist. So much so, he says in his article, he's just counting the TV numbers. He's not taking into account streaming. So the end numbers aren't being counted. He even admitted he doesn't have the numbers.
Well, Hoyle watches a Liga MX on Facebook with these pirated channels.
So no Facebook numbers either. Even more to my point, that guy's full of shit.
Yeah, that's to the experience, Ron.
That guy just spends his time on Twitter discrediting Liga MX.
Are you talking about World Soccer Talk?
No, it's like a Spanish guy, and he has the MLS balls in his mouth. That's all he does. He just hypes up MLS.
I'll check out the article later, and I'll check out the methodology of how he came to that. But I quickly glanced at it, but when I read it, it's like, it's something. I think there's some truth. Like I said, I need to read it and see the methodology of how he came to those numbers. But I mean, I've read other articles, in the past, year and a half or so, that kind of, suggests that Liga MX as a whole has lost viewership. So I'll
to the
take
Premier League. It has to the Premier League, but look, just take this into account. He's not counting the through the end numbers, but he's counting the Apple TV numbers for MLS because that's where they show the damn product. He's full of shit.
Yeah, I would take it with a grain of salt, but yeah, going back to the convocados, this is one of the weakest lists I've seen in a very long time. There's not a team that's gonna get out of the group stage.
It's not, but I hate to be. Every time I get on here, I always get attacked for having my my purest thoughts and just speaking the because I'm the voice of the silent majority. Why why are we hearing the Santi Jimenez hype anymore?
Why aren't we?
Yeah,
Because he doesn't play.
Well, that
he
and
has been playing. Yeah,
Santi is
he
not
hasn't been
a
scoring.
He didn't play against
Santi.
Uruguay.
He played against Brazil.
Yeah, Santi is in many ways is like Chicharo, that they don't really generate for themselves. They're poachers, and that's fine. You know, if you have a good poacher, that's great. But we don't really have.
The
We
support
don't really have
supporting cast. We don't have the supporting cast.
exactly. Yeah.
But the thing was though, everyone knew this already. But when Henry Martin, I'm not here defending Henry Martin because no one's been producing. But when he was starting, everyone was saying, "Why isn't he score? Why isn't he creating?" They pretty much expected him to create his own shot, like
Yeah.
he's fucking Ronaldo el Fenomeno or some shit. Everyone knew
Well,
that the wingers didn't distribute,
yeah. Like
but
if you recall,
everyone wanted Santi to start, and he's not producing.
it's funny because even though Santi is doesn't really create for himself, if it wasn't for him, creating, because he's the one that created his own chance on that game against the U.S. where they win the Gold Cup. But
Panama.
It was Panama.
yeah, I'm sorry, you're right, you're right. But that's what I'm trying to say is that Santi is not a playmaker. He needs a good supporting cast. Um, and Jimenez, or I'm sorry, not Jimenez, Henry Martin. He's even though I prefer not to play this type of style, where that's one of the things that I never liked. Like for example, even with Borghetti when he was on the team, I didn't like the fact that they're playing with their backs to the
To the
goal.
goal.
I think
Yeah.
that for me that's just the wrong way to play. I always preferred, if you're able, whether you do it through counterattacking or you're able to doing it with like, possession orientated, doing triangles, give and go sets and stuff like that, where like when you give the ball to a forward, it's because he's running towards the goal and he's going to shoot towards the goal. That's just that's always been my preference. But it seems like with like, Henry Martin and to a certain degree, Santi Jimenez, it's like
They're almost like a false nine. They're not even a nine.
yeah, yeah. And
I think the term is 9.5. That's that's the
Nine and a
that's what they're
half.
called. That's
yeah,
what Hercules Gomez likes to call them, and
Yeah.
I like that name for him because
so
Raul and Henry they're definitely a little bit more than just a nine. They create for the wingers on their respective teams, and that's not Jimenez's game style. But that's not to say that he can't develop that. He's very young, high ceiling. But I think Brazil showed his deficiency in that area for sure, 100%.
Also, why can't we have both? Like, I unfortunately didn't watch the game against Brazil, but why do we stick with this 4-3-3? Why can't we just have a 4-4-2? Have two strikers?
uh, that's yeah. I mean, that's the coach. Um,
Who's the last coach that tried that out? Wasn't it Piojo? I think in a Gold Cup where they beat the U.S. I think he played like that.
I swear I've seen the 4-4-2 somewhere.
yeah, you guys are gonna laugh at me, but you know who I thought had the team playing well? They just couldn't win. And when I say that
Couldn't win?
they were playing well, yeah. When I say that they were playing well, meaning in the sense that the way his team would attack, like going, the ball, the forwards receiving the ball, running towards the goal, generating
Ojitos?
chances after chances.
Or Sven Goran?
No, Chip Guardiola.
Oh, Chepo ball.
Yeah, I thought, believe it or not, I just think the stars didn't align for him. He came, a lot of the teams just started to play bunker ball to the point where it was just almost
Mhm.
impossible. And I mean, obviously, you have to make the adjustments as a coach. That if a team is playing bunker ball, you kind of have to do what La Puente
He
did.
lost. He
Give
also
them the
lost some
ball.
of his key players, Ron.
Yeah, yeah,
He
I know,
lost
but
to
but
injury and what. Uh, he lost the strikers.
And right on cue is his biggest defender coming to
Yes,
White
yes, I
Knight
am, dude. Biggest
Chepo.
ball washer. Dude, that because it's like a tragedy, man. That whole it wasn't just Chepo. It was the two de la Torres. Nestor was the GM, um, and they were doing such a
Nepotism.
fantastic job with the youth. They won the Toulon tournament. They won the Olympics. They're the most points ever on the what is the one before the hex? The so
was it
they
the yeah.
yeah he did a bunch of points there, and then once the hex started, his his team just I think a little bit before it. Did they play Confederations Cup first? But his team sort of like fell apart. But it was a couple injuries there. He lost like a good chunk of players, like 4 or 5. They were just key to his system. But I agree with you on the part where he didn't know how to adapt, and then the players he trusted sort of like they're just they just caved, dude.
We
Like
have
Mas,
Yeah.
he made Massa the captain. That was just
damn.
yeah. I don't know what he was thinking there.
Real quick, let me go to the comments and then I have Habibi joining us. Franklin Cap, good evening. Good show so far. For me, the Liga MX quality isn't much of an issue. It's more about the Mexican youth not playing in the league. Thanks, Franklin, for your comment. Habibi, how do you feel about this list of 26 men that will be representing us in Copa America? We getting out of the group?
Uh, I think it should get out of the group, but I think next round elimination, whatever. What is the round of 32 or round of 16? Round of
8.
16. Yeah, that they're getting eliminated that round. It's just I don't know, man. It's maybe some people might be impressed by the list because there's some different names in there. But if you actually look at the weight of the names, like you don't have your prime HHs, Giovanni Dos Santos, Chicharito, your Velas, your even your prime Hector Morenos. There's just like no players on there that you feel like, yeah, these guys could go play for middle club, European
What about
top
Santi?
five. What is that? Well, that's the thing. Okay, you take Santi. I mean, at the end of the day, he hasn't done it, at Premier League, La Liga. He hasn't done it on one of those. And even that, if you put him, it's just like, is he on an island by himself?
Yep.
So, I mean, I just don't see it. And same thing with the youth systems. You know how there's always those pages like sucking off like youth players, like how
Un-
Chevy Martinez was like top
yeah.
100, shit like that. I haven't heard of Mexican player like coming up, that like in the minute. I think the last one is that Alex Alcala kid, and you heard about him like what 5, 6, 7 years ago. He's already 18, but you haven't heard nothing about the 14, 15, 16-year olds coming up. Yeah, I just think it's gonna be a dark time for the national team for a good, I don't know, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, you just don't really
Kind of
hear
have
of
to,
any
kind of have to.
good prospects out there.
Did you happen to catch Santiago Baños on La Volpismo?
No.
He was he was touching he was talking about the player development, and more so he was talking about in Club America how there's a problem in Mexico in general, that Mexico doesn't have uh, he said formadores, he said that tenemos no tenemos formadores, tenemos entrenadores. So what he was coming to, what he was basically saying was that because of the money in the youth systems, the under 13 wants to make it to the 15 to the 17, and 17 on to the 20, 2023, and then go to the premier and then go to the first division. That's the goal of the youth coach. The goal of the youth coach isn't to produce players. So they're trying to offset that by basically making the pay almost the same, whether you were at the 14, 15, you're at the 17, or the 20. But I mean, they still have a lot of work to do in that regards. So I mean, that's a problem. I mean, that's a huge, huge problem because I mean, in like if you go to Argentina, I mean, there are coaches that are royalty in the youth system, and they get treated as royalty. Beckerman being one of them, and like I and Mexico doesn't have that. Mexico doesn't have that culture, and because coaching in Mexico is lucrative. That's I mean, if you think about it, that's why in the past 10 years, 10, 12 years, you hardly see any Mexican coaches. Most of them are the foreigners because Mexico League pays very, very well. So, like, I mean, you have youth coaches that are foreigners in Mexico, even though because the pay is good, but they want the ultimate goal is the first division. And if the president of Club America is saying that, it's for a reason.
Hey man, I've
And
been
if
saying that for a while, and then the first person to go against that is Joel. He's always like, "Oh no, look at all the talent that's came out, like this is this," and I'm like, "Man, that's just exceptions." But what gives it to me is I have coached youth teams, like volunteer type work and stuff, and it's very easy to me to spot the best players on the field. What's the best formation that we have? What's the best formation we should play based on the players that we have available? I've gone on and like won seasons undefeated and everything like that. But when I see like these videos on YouTube, TikTok, and it's like these actual formadores, like in South America, and they're like, "Hey, when you're receiving the ball like from this angle and he's over here, you gotta use your body like this." Or like when you pass him the ball and he's on that position and we're trying to like this, he has to receive with this foot. Like actual like formando and like showing them their body or like doing drills that I don't know if you seen the like players that are ballers. Like they kind of walk funny, like their foots are kind of like to the side.
Like bow legged?
Not bowler, like their actual feet. Like you can tell someone's a fucking baller, dude, just like by the positioning of their feet. Like you can be like, oh yeah, look at his feet. They're kind of like sticking out sideways, and it's just like from how you're in. They teach you to pass the ball from a youth level, that it just like becomes like that, and it's one of those things where when Moreno, Johan Vasquez, and all these guys come out and they go to Europe and they say, honestly, I didn't learn how to play, so I went here or there or there.
Yeah.
I I tell myself, okay, so that tells me the majority of the fucking coaches in Mexico and the youth systems, they're just like me. They see their talent
That's
that
a
they have
figure of
available.
speech, though.
They come up
That I didn't know what I was doing. It's more of a figure of speech.
and oh
Okay,
no,
if
man.
he didn't really know what he was doing,
Players
he
telling
wouldn't
you
have made
I
it that
learned
far.
how to defend, or when they say in Mexico we don't know,
Yes,
our
but it's a
center
figure of
backs don't
speech.
know
It's
how
a
to
way of
defend.
talking.
When they're talking to you about they're talking about like perfiles, like como ubicarme, like how, like come on, how to position yourself.
Did you
You're
finish?
telling
Did
me
you
you're like
finish? Did you
25
finish
years
that
old.
interview? Because he said they didn't teach him shit. He said he had to adapt.
Well, that's
He
what
said
I'm
he,
saying. Like
he
you shouldn't have a
but what
grown ass
Tomador? What
player
Tomador was
that
there then?
that's for your national team. That's on your national team. One of your better
Hey, ¿por
players
qué is
comes
that?
out and says, "I didn't know how to position myself. It took me going to Italy how to learn how to
Hey, if
defend."
he was able to adapt, that means they did a good job.
No, if he was able to learn it
Yeah,
and get that
I just
far, it speaks on his individual talent. But it means that
what
all the other guys who are not that individually talented, it has to be one. It has to be the hard work, the talent, a mix of both. But if you don't have the talent, at least learn the basics. And if these players are not learning the basics, where it's a standard, like this is basics, like everyone should know this at the first division level. It just tells me that the majority, not saying all of them, the majority of the coaches in Mexico, They're just entrenadores. See what players are the best on the 23 they have available. They put out their best formation. They kind of repeat the same 11, make three subs, focus on winning these youth titles. But actually teaching, zero intention of it.
In
It's all
Isn't
about getting a
the
result.
in,
isn't the assistant coach supposed to
in
do
the
all
ca-
that though? Like they have to
in
delegate
the
that process.
in the cantina, our Cascarita legend Juan, he's also a coach, youth levels. In fact, he had a couple. How many players did he send over to Pachuca's
Like
academy? A
four,
couple,
I think. He
four.
had like four,
But
I think. He went with
we
them.
fucking rag on him so much. You know when the what's that fucking annoying what's her name? La Reimers. What's her name from Fox
Yeah,
Sport or
The
where?
Reimers, yeah.
Ramers.
Yeah. So she was basically, showing off her new FF, like her new coaching credentials and shit. So we were fucking with him about that. How she's a coach and he's just a bum. You know. No, but it goes back. That. I mean, like I said, when I was listening to that interview with Santiago Baños, and he was talking about that, uh, you know, I kind of regret. You know, and we're going back. This is 20 years, but when the federation was trying to bring in Grifa, I was against it, and I think it was just false patriotism.
It
On my
was, it
on
was
my
fun. I still
on
remember.
on my part, because I mean,
You have to
it's
say who
something.
Gripa was for those that don't know. He's just throwing a name out there. You're like, what the fuck is a Grifa?
Who's that?
Jorge Grifa.
What
So
He's one of the dudes that discovered a lot of the top talent in Argentina.
a lot of the top talent in Argentina. Now,
Wait,
my
didn't he
beef.
work with he worked with Bielsa too, right?
Well,
I think when Bielsa
he
started,
so this is what was supposed to happen, if you recall. Okay, the federation was bringing in Jorge Grifa and some of his scouts, and they were going to go to all the I think at the time Max that they had 20 teams in the first division, 18 or 20, but they were supposed to go to all the first division teams, and basically scout the players, and then they were going to host a tournament, like like all the teams, right? And the I would say that I think it was like five or so teams did not let
they
them
didn't even open the
into the
doors to it. Yeah.
So if I recall, I don't think Vergara did. I don't think Hugo Sanchez did.
Are
Like
you
Pumas did. They were
serious?
Yeah.
yeah, and
Oh,
and,
wait, really
and
quick. I double checked. He did. He mentored Bielsa. All right, go.
all right. So basically, a lot of the a lot of the teams that did not allow Grifa to go into their facilities was like, oh, we don't need this guy over here. We have guys, and then there were obviously the youth coaches. Like, I don't know why he's here. We're doing things pretty good here and stuff like that. I mean, what is he going to teach us? And to a certain degree, I guess you play into that false patriotism crap, and it's like, what, it's like maybe we are, we deserve the type of football that we have because we've been
I,
doing,
I think
we've been, yeah, go ahead.
I think by this point, when he arrived, we're looking into a lot of the new like owners and leadership, because even going back to, you talk about the La Volpe podcast, and he's had some really good stuff there. La Volpe is one that says that they do have good youth trainers. His main thing has been as there's just not enough playing time, but and even in that show they talked about he had Chepo, right? Because Chepo de la Torre he got his career going at America, so America pretty much paid, and they sent him to AC Milan, and he could learn from dude, I forgot the coach, but it was when they were on beast mode, and he got to be over there, and he worked with La Puente and he worked with Ben Hacker and shit like that. And and so Chepo was talking about how back then the owners would even like pay for players to get coaching careers and whatnot going. They would
Well,
like help impose it. And I don't think
Aguirre is one of those.
yeah, a lot
They
of
they
those dudes and
they s- they
yeah,
sent Aguirre for months on end uh, to go to Europe.
yeah, and I
So,
don't think that
but
happens now with all of these newer owners. They're like they just have a different way of operating, less personable, I would say.
so
It says that he wrote a book.
who?
Rifa,
Grifa, 39 years in the
are you
youth
sure?
divisions, which was published
Yeah,
in
yeah.
2011. And he said
Yeah,
that
there's a
he had he had a number of other jobs after he left Boca,
good.
developing basics to the Mexican Federation and Necaxa as well. But this guy discovered Juarez's favorite player, Batistuta.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Batidor.
So, but like I said, I mean, just I mean, there's when when you have and and it's a perfect storm if you really come to think about it. When you have a league that has 7, 8, foreigners playing, and then you don't have cup play, like 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 something like the FA Cup or Copa del Rey, where you have teams from the lower divisions playing teams from the first division, and then you have the issues that you have in the youth development. It's like this. It's there's no. I mean, you know why we're in the position that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
That's for me. I can do away with the promotion relegation because I've argued that for the last 30 years we've never had a true promotion relegation. Okay, even though I mean, sure I'd love to have it, but personally I think that I would rather have the domestic cup and I would have the what do you call it the the participation in the South American tournaments, Copa Sudamericana and Libertadores, because if you guys recall, because of the calendar and it basically you had the teams would have to play the youth teams or the youth players. I'm sorry, the more inexperienced players. And I just for me, I thought that was always even though the calendar was congested, but the coaches were forced to play some of the more inexperienced players and they were able to get more experience because at the end of the day that's what these kids need. I mean, these what these players need. They need playing time.
Yep.
you know you can play all the youth tournaments in the world until you get them playing first division and basically and putting them in important situations like Osorio used to say these guys need to be playing in important games at least once a week.
Yeah, that
You're
was my.
basically shooting.
That's why I got upset. I'm like, all these players going to the Toulon tournament. I'm like, dude, it's a waste of time. Just take them straight to Copa America.
No, it's not a it's not a waste
Not
of
not
It's not a
all
waste
of
of
them.
time.
I'm not saying not all of the players, but like some of the best
There's some
prospects.
there's some good scouts. There's some good scouts over there behind you.
Yeah, it's not a waste of time. It's just, but there's just too many things that the
No,
federation is not doing
I think in
properly.
this particular
But hang on, I
situation,
do
it's
agree with you that I agree with you at that point.
because like right now we don't have a strong base, so I
No,
understand
sure.
why those tournaments like exist. Like I get it. In other circumstances, like yeah, we would have enough depth to send a solid squad to Copa America and then have our prospects at the Toulon tournaments, the youth tournaments. But we're in a situation right now where we're in desperate need. This is a great opportunity for us to just get exposed to players that we don't know about in a grand stage.
But that's the coach, Jaime. That's not Jimmy, and that's who he chose because I'm sure he would have had first dibs on any player. And so that's a big, you know,
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the Toulon tournament is a waste of time. I don't know if you guys remember, but that's how they found out about Ache over there in Europe. and that's how he made his trek over there. He did really good. I think he was the player of the tournament for the Toulon tournament. And then I forgot who bought him. I think it was Porto, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it's definitely not
Remember
a waste of time.
Linus?
I do remember
Linus. He was on fire in that tournament.
He was, and he just never really matured. He's still kind of selfish and inept as far as tactics is concerned, and I feel like that's why he's really fallen in his stock. No one wants to pay the idiot who's going to try to take on 3 players every time he gets the ball. And so a lot of the time, especially at Betis, when I saw him, he would just be ignored for large portions of the game, because they knew that he was just going to go into beast mode and, try to dribble through 3 or 4 guys, lose the ball, and then Betis is vulnerable on the counterattack. And the Toulon is not by any means a waste of time. People like Huescas have a real opportunity of being scouted by a European
is that bigger
team.
than Copa America though? I feel like there's more scouts at Copa America.
If we put in these greenhorns, we're just going to see what happened against Uruguay, where we lose 4-0, and the FMF cannot afford to be embarrassed again, right? Because then you start fucking with the money. And then, so they're trying to avoid that. And, Jimmy and, I'm sure the federation's called Jimmy and they came up with what they thought is the most competitive squad, which, compared to other generations is obviously lacking in a lot of areas. But I feel like it can compete. And I agree with Al Pastor. I feel like we're going to get out of the group stages and that's it. And anything more than that would be wonderful, but I don't see it, but it is possible, especially in our group. I know you didn't watch the game, but we really did compete against Brazil's B-A team. It was B for the most part. And granted, Brazil's still finding themselves. They have a new coach. They're without their talisman Neymar. They're 6th in qualifying. It's like they're in this limbo themselves, right? But I thought it was a great game. They punched us in the nose from the start. We were really lax in our marking. I remember for the first goal, Israel Reyes was 3 feet from his mark. And most of the other defenders were 3 feet from their mark as well. And so they were just caught sleeping. For the second goal, I'm gonna pin it on Quinones, who failed to track Coto, this Girona player. He was the right back for Brazil. He failed to track back, and then he combined with Savio, another Girona player, and they combined, and that was Brazil's second, right? And so you had these 2 rudimentary, naive mistakes from the beginning, and then Mexico woke the fuck up, and they tied the game, and then in the last minute, Vinicius, crossed the ball to Endrick, who is 17 years old, 5'6", and this 5'6" guy beats Vasquez to a header. And it's because Edson was caught in no man's land. He was so sure that Israel Reyes was going to be beaten by Vinicius that he ran towards that, to Vinny, and then left Endrick with a bunch of space on the near post, and then this 5'6" kid scored the goal. And so I wouldn't say we were outclassed. I'd say that the tactics were a little wrong. There was some naive mistakes, but for sure we were competing. And I feel the people in our group, the opponents in our group, aren't quite up to that level, bar Ecuador, who I feel had a very competitive match against Argentina and only narrowly lost to them 1-0. So I think second out of the group is very possible. It's a very reasonable expectation for us to think that they'll make it out. And unfortunately, I think that's as far as we're going to go, but I hope for the best.
Doesn't Venezuela have King Solomon, though?
But that's one player.
He is a problem.
The third goal from Brazil was pathetic because the marking. Vinny should have never been able to send that cross to Erdick. because there were two Mexican players
He said
that was
Arabic.
just basically got cut. Or was that the Brazilian player's
It's
kid?
not.
What's his name?
No, you got it right. You
Endre.
got it. You got it right. You got it right.
So it's like I was livid. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, there were two players on Vinny, and it's like there was no way he should have been able to send a cross. And sure enough, he did. It
For
was
me,
just
it was
like
on it was on Edson. It was on Edson. He should have stuck to the near post, and he didn't. He got anxious and he ran towards Vinny, and he left Endrick to head the ball in, and that was really naive on his part. Like I expect better from him because he's probably our player with the most pedigree, and he
Yeah.
really showed his lack of tactical awareness in that instance. But these are all things that can be remedied. And I'd much rather have them occur now in the preparatory matches than during the campaign. And like right now they can go over it till like the cows come home and better and do better. Come the first match. I don't think it's all doom and gloom, is what I'm trying to say.
I like how what's your name, El Rifaldo was hypercritical with former and past. He kind of just singled out anyone that played or plays for America.
Put your conspiracy hats on, guys.
I'm actually a big fan of El Machin. I'm a big fan of Israel Reyes. I'd love to see him play more centrally, but I think like he's such a what's the word, Swiss Army knife. I think he could even play CDM as he has for Puebla. So I don't have like a conspiracy against America. If anything, I'm a big fan of some of the players they've rolled out.
Hey, but I hear what you guys are saying, but let's be honest. Brazil never got past first gear.
Facts.
I noticed that awesome midfielder they have that plays for Newcastle. What's his Guimaraes? That guy has
Yeah,
like
he's really good.
he has like a fucking presence to him that he's at the right place at the right time. That he like he you couldn't you couldn't make up. The midfielders were they even looked scared of him. He has like a presence to him. It was crazy.
Yeah, I also really like the guy that they paired him with, Ederson. He plays for Atalanta, and they just won the Europa League. So they have a really good midfield without Casemiro, which is surprising to a lot of people. I wouldn't say they never got out of first gear. I say they put us in our place from the get go, and they scored two goals relatively quickly, and then they slowed down a bit, and then we got back into the match. um, but that's their own fault. That's not something. That's not because like they didn't get a second gear. It's because Brazil has a tendency of slipping these last couple of years. If you go back to that Croatia match, they were up 2-1, and then they just kept attacking, and then it blew up in their face, and before you knew it, they were eliminated by Croatia. So this Jogo Bonito football champagne that they're always used to. It's kind of like a double-edged sword for them. Um, I don't think they. I do think they got out of first gear. In the end, it was a friendly. So like you kind of hold back a little bit, and that's why I don't think Israel Reyes fouled Vinny for that third goal. Because you just don't do that.
Dude, I'm watching the replay. Edson, like you mentioned, was in terrible positioning. No man's land, bro.
Naive defending for sure.
This guy doesn't look like he plays in the Prem League sometimes. I know
He plays in a double pivot. And so I think he's having some trouble transitioning back to the sole pivot. He did that at Ajax, but with Ajax, you're the protagonist all the time in that what do you guys call it? A fisherman's league. They're the big fish in the small pond. And so like for him to be, the sole six and to do it against a team as stacked, as top heavy as Brazil, it's going to be difficult for anybody.
Because he was at fault for a couple of those Uruguay goals too.
Yeah, his distribution, but it's also on the players like that were supposed to be receiving the ball on him, like you know, um, I don't know. There's like an unfamiliarity that happens in international football with a lot of players. But like it's better to have these kinks in the friendlies than it is during the
Yeah.
tournament. And so I feel like this is good like fodder for the replays that they're going to be having, where they're going over the tactics, what they did wrong, how they should get better. And I'm optimistic. You know, and I feel like we're going to compete at the very least, and it isn't some doomsday, you know 30 minutes to midnight sort of thing. But for sure, like compared to the Carlos Velas, Giovanni Dos Santos, and like that that generation that promised so much, a couple of years ago, this is a far cry from that.
What
And
what bothers me is that we start out with Jamaica, and I know how they're oh, it's Jamaica, right? They're not gonna. I feel like they're gonna like underestimate Jamaica, and it's gonna be a more complicated game than it needs to be, and we might not even win that game. I think we might end up drawing that game.
our saving grace is that Bailey dropped out of this tournament due to disagreements with the
Yeah.
coaching staff.
Yeah,
So
he
really
put them on blast.
Yeah, he put them all
saying
blast.
he really did. Yeah,
they're unprofessional.
exactly.
Yeah.
If you thought what Lozano said about Jimmy was bad, what Eric what Bailey said about the Jamaican national team and federation is hilarious, because that was much worse.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with Copa America. I will say, though, we are blessed from the football gods this summer because we're going to have, at one point, Euros and Copa America. So it's football all day and all night in the summer
And
heat.
the League's Cup. Don't forget about that one.
We'll have League's Cup in July, but in the month of June, we're going to be blessed quite heavily. Guys, I have one more bone to pick on tonight's episode, and that is Paunovic joining Tigres after we lost to them in the final. He decides to join their forces, man. This is like when KD lost to the Golden State Warriors and then joins the Golden State Warriors to win. I just feel so betrayed by Paunovic going to Tigres, and I can't believe this is happening. And he's also trying to poach some of our players too. I feel disgusted.
If you can't beat them, join them. Isn't that how it goes?
If you can't beat them, buy them.
I think you meant to say he choked a final, not lost a final.
He did choke a final.
Jaime,
What's up?
Fernando Hierro's going to come back to Liga MX.
Yeah.
And it won't be with Chivas. Okay?
I don't think he's gonna go back. Why would he?
Look, Chivas is a gordi guapa. They're just a slump buster. You guys are just a slump buster. That's all you guys are.
They're the gordi guapa that used to be hot.
It's
You
guys are not you guys used to be sede Guadalajara, Club Deportivo Guadalajara. It's Club Gordi Guapa Guadalajara. That's what you guys are now.
God.
Man.
When I heard rumblings about him being the contender for the coaching job, I got really pissed off because I'm like, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't go to
But why?
Tigres.
But what was the loyalty? He was like with it like 6 months, dude.
So
Probably less.
for him to go to Tigres confirms the one thing that I think everybody had assumed, that he did not leave on the best terms with Chivas, the organization, and probably some of the players.
I think someone racked him up. He had that black eye for a bit. I'm convinced it was one of the players.
I
we
brought that
mentioned
up, and
Victor
these guys
Guzman.
called me crazy.
I did it, man. I was dragging me in
I
there.
believe you, Rick.
Richie.
He deleted Pocho Guzman from the team, after that incident.
He unfollowed him.
And it was probably one of the reasons why they decided to part ways, because I remember during this whole fiasco, that rumor about him going to La Liga, in the middle of the
Almeria.
season. Almeria, yeah. and like, oh, what's going on here? And that's when I knew like things were going south. And then we get eliminated by Pumas in the quarterfinals, and then that's it. We part ways with Bao. I thought his project was just getting off the ground, and for us to just like part ways with them abruptly was, things didn't add up. And I think at that time they had probably picked the players over the coach. But now he's gonna have revenge, and he's gonna be able to coach a team that doesn't have the limitations that Chivas do. Number one, he's gonna be balling, having an unlimited paycheck, to bring in players. So, what an opportunity for him.
And I mean, I've never known you to be like this. Just you seem really hurt about this.
Well, I
It's
think
like-
it's too soon. It was only 6 months ago he was coaching us.
Do you remember that? Remember that video of that young Cruz Azul fan who was really salty that player left?
Oh
Fuck.
yeah, I'll find the clip.
Dude, please, dude, 'cause that's you right now, dude. What's that?
Dude, is that the guy that got a tattoo of like the player's number?
That
and
was
name?
that was Nico Castillo and with a fan who like got his.
No. Te pasas, Nico. No, that was no. We're talking
Oh, no,
about.
that's a little kid.
It was a player from Cruz Azul. Last player, his name started with a P. Argentine guy. Oh shit! Hold on,
No,
let me try to find
I
it.
got it. This guy,
Messi
Marcone.
All right. Yeah, but yes, that's right. Marcone. Yeah.
Pinche joto.
That's you right now. That's you right now.
Yeah,
Enojado. Estoy enojado.
enojado. Yeah, no.
Trágate esto.
I think it's like, give us at least like a couple seasons before you decide to go back, and then you go back to coach Tigres. Really, man? Like really? Out of all teams,
I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what happens with this Tigres team, because you have to play like fast and pressing, in Paunovic in his setup. So I'm curious to see who he's going to get rid of. I think he's going to clean house, because Guignac, Quiñones.
They're not gonna let him clean house. That's not happening, dude. That's Guignac's team, man. That's Guignac's team right there.
I think he really slowed down this last season, and
I think he's their golden boy. He's gonna be a directivo. Watch, he's not going anywhere. That's gonna.
I think,
and you have Ibanez just rotting on the bench. So and then you have this guy who plays this pragmatic pressing style that old people just can't do. I think changes are coming, and maybe not Guignac, maybe everyone but Guignac. But Tigres certainly has the wallet to do it.
Yeah, and he's gonna start by try to bring in all the Chivas players he liked.
Piojo tried doing this, and he just didn't know how to communicate it.
Hey, look, what I will say is I give him permission to take Nene. He can have Nene. We don't need him. But Piojo is untouchable. Mosso is untouchable. I don't want him to start going after our players. But yeah, that really pissed me off. And there's other players that we've brought in, bunch of bums, bunch of players that we've never heard of before. And this guy from LA Galaxy that looks like he can bring the rain dance back to
Rainmaker.
He's the rainmaker, dude.
Damn, dude. Shit, time taking it there.
And then we have unhappy JJ Mack, who might be traded to Santos, man. It's crazy.
What is it? I'm going on loan. But if I'm JJ Mack and they send me on loan and you're killing it, and they're like, we want you back, I'm like, nah, fuck that, dude. Thank you, but no thank you. I'm just staying here.
His contract expires in December, so I don't think he can go on loan. I think it's like transfer.
Well, that's what the thing said. they said that they were negotiating like some type of like the payment plan for his wages. So I don't, yeah.
Damn.
I guess they couldn't sell him, because he's been injured. So I don't think anybody wants to, it's like damaged. It's like the Carfax.
They got the salvage title.
He's just like salvage.
Did they show video of those Mexican players getting cut from Copa America?
Yeah, they did. They uploaded a video of, and this is coming directly from the national team. Like they uploaded the video of.
What type of fucking reality TV bullshit is that?
Yeah, dude. They have like Alexis Pena and Nene and Carrillo just like dabbing up all the players and leaving. I'm like, how embarrassing.
That should be personal, dude.
Yeah,
that
private.
Should be private and personal. Exactly. That should be. Well, that's fucked up, dude.
I'll never forget the most fucked up thing was when Aguirre decided to announce when he sent Jonah home by himself, bro.
I mean, at this point,
I don't think he's in charge of that. That was the federation. Like he just gets the cut. There's someone within the federation in charge of like.
He didn't even announce
handling
the players.
All of that.
He didn't even announce it. He had somebody else announce the players that were going. And I'm just like, damn,
yeah,
bro.
But for handling like the way they go home and all that, I don't think that's the coach. That's like whoever's, they have like they have someone. Yeah, dude, you have someone in charge of that, like to make sure that like your flights.
I just thought it was like it was just I remember that training camp. I thought it was just very strange because we had, I forgot how many originally, like a training camp, and it was like maybe 30 players, and then they cut it down to 24. I'm like, why would you cut it down to 24? Just cut out all the players, and then because then there's gonna be one player that is gonna be like eliminated. It's like, and it was Jonah. I'm like, come on, dude. They should.
I don't like seeing that. That just rubs me the wrong way. Like, it's like any moment I'm gonna see like. ¿Qué pasa el desgraciado? And then, they cut the person.
¿Se habla en América?
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to separate, club and country. But right now it's pretty easy because they're both shit, man. I'm just going through it right now.
Well, at least Ahmed's able to fill in the gaps for me. I feel sorry for my Chiva hermanos, dude. Life must suck for you guys.
It's not even fun for you because it's like at least it's fun. Like I don't like it when it's like only one team's dominant. Like you want to see, both teams, the big rivalry in Mexico. You want to see them at full power. You don't want to see this shit. It's not even fun.
I'm still good as a Chilla hermano. We still got that mighty tetracampeonato won in the long season format. Yeah, you ain't topping that. It's never topping that. You could try and it's not happening.
Let me hire a necromancer, someone from the dead that saw that title, dude.
That's when you talk about reaching the mountaintop. There's only one flag up there.
America.
Yeah, I could celebrate the 3 times or twice, but there's only one 4 time. I'm like Ric Flair with the 4 horsemen.
The Charlie Chaplin title.
The 4. Hey, they're legit.
Another thing I want to talk about just briefly. Rafa Marquez, his documentary is out on Netflix. I don't know if you guys were able to watch it. But it was.
I forgot. I saw that clip you posted.
Yeah, I liked it. They definitely talked about everything, including, the money and how he got involved with narcos and all that. Like they didn't leave anything out.
Oh shit! That's what that's the part I was wondering if they were gonna keep, but it's too juicy.
But you guys talked about Toulon is such a great, there's a lot of scouts at this tournament. Well, guess what? Rafa Marquez was scouted to Monaco at the age of what? He was like a teenager, and he was at Copa America. And they weren't even trying to scout him. They were trying to scout Chile. And they were like, who
But he's-
the hell's this kid? And he ended up going to
well,
Monaco.
yeah, imagine defending against Zamorano at the time, one of the best strikers, and Salas, and another dude. They were both at the top of the game, and this really young dude is going toe to toe with these guys. Um, yeah, it was very impressive. Yeah, he must have
Mexico had
been
good
what,
players
like
back then,
20?
though, right,
Was he
man?
like 20? What happened?
I said Mexico had good players back then. It wasn't like now.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, but Rafa was like, he was young, bro. Like it's not like he was already established in his career.
No, well, he I think at 17 he debuted. So 17, 18, he was already
He played
getting
a
a lot of
final with
first.
Atlas.
Yeah.
I know he that was one of my favorite finals when they got the runner up. Had to go to PKs and all that. But I mean, like what I'm trying to say is like he just got debuted very young at the national team, and they wasted no time. They didn't say, hey, let him go through the proceso of all these youth tournaments. Dude, he went straight to the national team in '97, dog.
They already knew he was beast, though, man. They said that once they saw him play, they're like, all right, this dude's different. They just, they
You passed
already
the eye
seen him
test.
really
Jaime,
quick.
it's like did you? I think I posted it. The clip with Beto Aspe, just ranting about
Oh yeah.
the national team, and Jimmy Lozano's like, que no me vengan que, what us, talking about that generation and that era of football, it was like in the late '90s, Mexico was playing really good football.
Oh yeah.
Even when they were having their little ups and downs, I mean, the players were just tougher. They were mentally tougher. I mean, the bouts that they had, again, with Argentina and Brazil.
Well,
I mean,
just that Copa America round
I know
because that Copa America
'97 Copa America, 1990.
no, the
The '97
'93
Copa America,
the
the
'93
'99.
one because the Argentina went champion in '86, finalist in '90, and then that Colombia team when they get to '94, they were one of the favorites to win the World Cup.
Yeah.
And Mexico was matching up to those teams. They were like in that Copa America, and that's all home based talent, and they put some great games against those teams.
And part of one of the reasons why I think that when things are given to you, you don't really you don't value them, right? But when you have to work for them, you kind of value it more, and you don't, and you do better. And if you recall, in the early in the '90s, and even going into the early 2000s, Mexico participating in the South American tournaments was not a given, dude. I mean, we had to do backdoor deals to even play in Copa Libertadores. We used to have to pay.
Kind of backdoor
We,
deals.
we used to have to pay the Venezuelan Football Federation. It's like, hey,
What the fuck?
can you play us at? Yeah. When I was an undergrad at the University of Houston, I mean, I used to catch the Copa, and I still have tickets like the Copa Sears Pre Libertadores. So basically, it was the Mexican teams would play a tournament, and then the winner of that tournament would play the Pre Libertadores, and that was against two teams from Venezuela, and
Wasn't
the
it
winner from
Bolivia at
those
one point?
with that.
Or was it against Bolivia as well? Or they just they were
No. It
like, I
was just
think we want in on this too. It was
the
just
only the,
Venezuela, right?
no the only federation that did this was the Venezuelan teams because I mean their camp I mean the money that they were making from the promoters was more than what their league champion was making.
That's
So
crazy.
they were willing to basically give up their Copa Libertadores spots. So like if you remember like in '98, which was the first season, it was America Chivas. In 1999 it was Monterrey, right? So so they had the Copa Pre, Libertadores, which was amongst the Mexican teams. Then it was the Copa Libertadores, which is against the Venezuelan teams, and then it was the Copa Libertadores. I mean, I remember going to those games back, like when they had a couple in Dallas, they had a couple in all over the U.S. But I mean, I remember I saw some in Dallas and I saw some in Houston, and in one of them in particular, I remember when Horacio Sanchez, Hugo Sanchez's nephew, he was like the fucking main attraction, dude. Like the stadium over there at the University of Houston was packed, dude, to the brim because they wanted to see,
Who did he
they
play
thought
for?
that he was at the time he was at with Unam. So like
Oh.
at that game,
Yeah, with
so
Pumas.
they had that day they played. It was Atlas and America, and I want to say Monterrey and Pumas, and like the star attraction for those two games. I remember it was El Turco Mohamed and Horacio Sanchez. Like I mean, everybody was going crazy, for
Yeah.
those two guys.
Yeah, that's just sort of just like disappeared. Like he was showing really good,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden he was just gone.
yeah.
Didn't
It's like,
didn't Ugo lose a son? Or who lost a son? He lost a son, right?
No, no,
yeah, he
Hugo.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Carbon monoxide poisoning. Can you believe that shit?
Yeah, so change your fucking batteries, guys.
Yep.
I hear the beeps every now and then. But yeah, Rafa Doc on Netflix. Check it out. I forget about his trajectory sometimes. Like you forget, you take it for granted. And this guy won a Champions League, and towards the end they're saying, they're interviewing Xavi, Pujol. They're like, hey, like, do you see this guy ever coaching Barcelona or the national team? And they're like, look, man, whatever Rafa decides to do, like, he sets his mind towards, like, he's gonna accomplish it, whether that's at Barcelona or the national team. And I'm like, I always envision Rafa coaching the national team. In fact, I
I don't know about that, Jaime.
I thought he was gonna coach us in this World Cup in our own backyard, but this is not the generation to waste a
Yeah.
guy like Rafa. But maybe for 2030, I think he might be
You're
our guy.
forgetting two key issues, Jaime.
What, the player union he tried to create?
Exactamundo. And then I think the players turned their back on him. I didn't go anywhere. I think he just pissed off all the wrong people. He hasn't worked at Mex. When he had a chance to work, they booted him, which was he would have been a part of that Atlas Bicampeón, which would have been massive. And they were like, nope, you can't be, they booted him out. They haven't really like just it was some members of the media they were saying bring so and him as an assistant, and but that's just like kind of fanboy stuff from the media, just circle jerking.
So are you saying that all that stuff that came up with him being associated with Narco, you think that was leaked by the Mexican press?
It was a
No,
hit
because
job.
that was from the U.S. That was from the U.S. That busted him.
He made a lot of noise talking
It
about
was
that player union crap. I
yeah,
remember.
that was
You guys remember
yeah.
that show, the Cuervos or whatever on Netflix with
Los
Yes,
that guy?
Cuervos, yeah.
He came
yeah,
on an episode in the hypothetical like league that they're in, and he was pretty much advocating for the same shit. So he was pretty loud, and he definitely
yeah,
pissed some people off.
yeah.
He
They're,
rough.
they're not gonna
I
vote him
think
in.
what I think is really interesting about him now is he's currently in the knockout for promotion from the third division to the second. So his stock is going up, and if there's one thing that the FMF loves, it's success. They love a front runner, and he's a media darling. He's a legend of old. I think if the trajectory continues the way it's heading, like if he gets promotion, and then he gets a first division job at maybe some place like Las Palmas, who has a Barca B coach right now in like Pimienta, I think that's his name. But his trajectory is to be a first division coach in Europe, and he's heading there whether he wins this knockout for the promotion or he loses it. Everyone thinks he's a great coach because when you're coaching Barca B, it's not all about promotion. It's about developing players. So like they'll take the loss if they think he's doing well developing players. And the word around the campfire right now is that he's doing just that, and he might get promotion. So
Yeah, but
I
he's
do.
gonna have to be in the first division, and he's gonna have to be successful. So, man, if I'm doing timeline, we're looking at 4 or 5 years from now. That's
I
if
agree.
he's successful. That's if he's successful. See, I'm not against like Rafa or nothing like that. I'm just going how the FMF operates. And I just think he fucked
Yeah.
up right there. Just
I think we got.
because he had no one to
Yeah.
back him up. Whoever he had that he thought it was gonna back him up, like, they left him out to hang. They left him out by himself.
The name that I was seeing, and I know it's just a fishing expedition, but they were talking about a tag team with La Volpe and Rafa Marquez at
Oh,
the national. What's that?
oh no, no.
At the national team.
Yeah, with what's his name? Because if Jimmy, if Jimmy gets the boot,
Uh-huh.
they were kind of like speculating whether it would make sense to have kick out Dulio Davino, kick out these guys, and put in La
Oh,
Volpe, put
we
in
already
La
know what's
I
Volpe.
happening.
I
Why are we
expect
falling into this
I expect Rafa to coach
fan
the
fiction?
national team eventually, but right now is not the time to do it. It's like we don't have the pool of talent. It would just be a wasted
I don't think it
opportunity.
would matter. Like I don't think it would matter because it's not like
No, you want him.
Mexico is headed to. But it's not like you have a squad that you could win the World Cup with.
No, I'm just saying
Like
like
you could just
the
give it to
media's
him and let him work
fickle.
with it.
You want him to have the best chance of victory, right?
The media is fickle.
So it's like
yeah.
you don't want us to get like a great chance of having a coach like Rafa, what he means, to the national team, historically, his stock. You don't want to waste it right now. You want to wait until we have a good group of talent, and just have the right coach to like turn them into champions.
It's basically it's a catch-22 for Rafa because he's gonna get like for him the way I see it for him to get the national team he's gonna be really good in Europe. But if you're really good in Europe, you really don't want to go
Yeah,
to Mexico.
you don't want to go to Mexico. Yeah.
It's really like a year where they had to beg him to come back, so
Like,
they would have to be begging him.
Do you guys realistically think he could coach Barcelona, the first team? I don't think so.
Hell no.
I
A lot
don't
of
know.
the
I think
Mexican media,
it's not.
they ask
It's
him
not.
about that.
Just
They're never gonna hire a beaner to coach that team out.
It's just like they would never hire a beaner to coach Real Madrid. I know Hugo always thought he was waiting for the call, but very disillusional.
I know they gave it to that other fucker, and who had more qualifications than what is it, Solari or what was it?
I think we're all forgetting the
had
fact that Hugo's unhinged.
couple games.
Like they're not gonna give it to Hugo. He's crazy. He's got his head so far up his ass for like 30 years. He just does it to stay relevant in the media.
His coaching record is good if you look at it.
He's been out the game for like 20 years.
Yeah,
he has. But I mean, but when he was in the game, his coaching record was good. It's not like he was, he.
I mean, personally, I wouldn't mind seeing, not saying at the national team level, but personally, I wouldn't mind seeing coaches like La Volpe and Hugo Sanchez giving it one more round in Liga MX.
They're not going to get it.
I know. It's just.
It's Aguirre's third time's the charm.
What was that, Ricardo?
No, it's just
That Chepo's, he's at Puebla now.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. That's my boy right there. Once he does good, he'll be back in the running.
Yeah. I will be rooting for him. I will be rooting for him at Puebla. Okay? Not when they face America, obviously, but
when they face Chivas.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if you think, hey, Chep was part of that Puebla team with La Puente when he was coach that won the
won the title.
La Campeonísimo.
Wow.
Yeah, he's had some bad luck because he was at Santos. That's a pretty good team, and they let him go, and then right the following season they won the league.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the Chepo effect.
Chepo, he won 3 championships, right?
He won.
Pretty quick,
Yeah.
fairly. So I think
For sure. Well, we're at 2.5 hours. The only last thing I had for you guys was, obviously Chucky Lozano, official. He's going to be playing for the MLS expansion team in San Diego, but what a sad moment to be alive. This guy's not even 30 yet. He's already retiring, man.
he did it all,
San
Jaime.
Diego.
Why
What was
where's
that?
vagina?
He's gonna be a San Diegon, right? San Diegon.
Remember Ron Burgundy? Where's vagina in Spanish?
You got, at least you got it. San Diegon.
I think it's a requirement for all these Liga MX Euro loser rejects. As soon as they get an MLS, they just read
You
off
would do the
the
same thing,
prompter
dude.
and say, "You know what? MLS is already better than Liga MX."
Yep.
Every
That's a
single
bonus.
time.
It's part of the
say-
clause they signed. They have to bash it.
Yeah,
They're
you
like,
trigger that bonus.
That's not exactly what he said.
bonus check. Just say this and you get this bonus. I'll be like, fuck it, dude. Yeah,
like
I don't care,
the
dude.
Saudi Arabian league, they have a thing where if you're on social media and you promote like Saudi Arabia, just like the country, like they'll give you like hundreds of thousands of dollars for every time you like say something positive about it. So I'm sure that the MLS has something similar. Like, hey, anytime you mention that MLS is closing the gap on Liga MX, here's another bonus for you.
I know it's sad for fans, but for players, it's a win for them, man.
I'm just like, bro, you're still young, man. Like you're not even 30, dog. What are you doing?
He did it all though. He
How
played
much
2
do they
World
pay
Cups.
for him?
He played in Europe.
I don't know. I know he's making a lot of money though.
Well, yeah, that's what it's about. Like when a lot of these, because what are these players gonna do when they retire? Right? It's not like they're gonna go.
I just think that someone like Chucky, who won
be a
Serie
used car
A, would have
salesman or
he would have more ambition than that, bro. Like, how do you go to win Serie A?
ambition is he's gonna own 3 Oxos and have a
Oh, he
house
gonna,
and
bro.
just collect money, dude.
This
work hard all
dude
these
has
years
been living off his royalties ever since he scored that goal against Germany. He's been every time they put that highlight in there when they announced his arrival. I'm like, bro, that clip is like 6 years old, dog. You gotta let it go.
From the worst Germany in history.
Yeah, history of the
scored
World
against
Cups.
the worst Germany in history.
Yeah, even Korea beat Germany. But hey, the only thing that I'll give him credit for is the fact that he announced his retirement from the national team. He's like, hey, look, like I have self-awareness. I'm going to the MLS. I'm starting my retirement process. And, I hope that you guys can fill my shoes in the national team.
No, hey, in all fairness, we know that was the worst, German team in World Cup history. But going into that World Cup, that was not the perception of that German team.
True.
The perception was that they were one of the favorites of winning the World Cup
Again.
But that goal. That goal with Lozano, personally, I thought that Chicharito's participation in that goal was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Half the goal is his.
Yeah, it was a thing of beauty to watch, and that's one of the ways, that's one of the things that that counterattacking, where it's if you're gonna counterattack, fucking do it. Don't shit or get off the fucking pot. It's fast pace. It's boom, boom, 1-2. Get the fucking ball. Get into the fucking box, and either get the fucking foul or take the shot on goal. But that to me was a thing of beauty. That whole, they were able to basically get the ball, get possession of it, and then just boom, pass it fast as hell to the to the other side of the field.
It was a great
Chicharito did a
sequence, yeah.
masterful one. Oh fuck yeah, it was. Fuck yeah, it was. It was
Yeah.
it was an amazing goal.
It was electrifying just seeing that in real time and that ended up in a goal because we've seen those all the time and they don't end up in a goal, but that one actually did. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Closing thoughts. I'll let you guys go one by one. I know Abdias shared a tweet with Jaguares. They're getting reinstated, and I know Morelia finally got their rights back for their branding, Monarcas Morelia. So Liga MX is healing, but I'll let you guys.
Is is Morelia still going to be part of Tio Richie? Grupo Salinas?
I don't know actually.
Azteca? Oh, okay. I'll have to check into that. I'll have to look into
I
that.
just know Higuera's over there running things.
Okay.
The Chivas legend.
Yeah.
Uh,
What you guys got for me? Closing thoughts.
Hey, I'll go first. I don't think I've heard you guys mention Israel being invited to CONMEBOL to participate in their tournaments.
School me?
You guys didn't see that?
No, I did not.
I think it was a month ago. I see it just completely went under the radar.
I saw it. I just didn't like any follow up. So and then I'm not really seeing their tournaments. Was it for club or just national team?
I believe both.
Yeah.
The same way Japan and Qatar got invited, but they got like a long-term deal here.
Well, good for them.
Good for them, and Mexico's eating shit once again. The complete bullshit excuse why they're not playing against them.
Yeah, well, that's the Federación. I don't know.
At this point, it's all on the Federation. It's not on CONMEBOL. They've been begging us to go back.
Those other guys are gone, Ron.
Yeah.
Chuck passed away, and Blazer got 86th. All that corruption.
And if the game does go through, I'm just here to gloat and tell Ho, I told you so, in your face, man.
About what?
Tell me so.
About the official Mexico games being played in the U.S. I gave you my reasons. I was proven right.
It's true.
This is the one thing taking away the sporting merits playing against the South American teams. And Mexico's in a complete unserious sporting culture right now. The only thing that's gonna keep Liga MX alive is them playing official games here. It'll keep the money coming in. It'll create the new fans, and it'll keep some of the fans that already has. Because playing against MLS, that's taking Mexico nowhere. So in your face, and I told you so, and so on.
It wasn't you. It was the link you shared. It was just a horrible news source. They just wrote it wrong, poorly, worded and everything. It's but yeah, you were spot on with the news.
Joel, what you got for us?
Man, I really, honestly, nothing, man. Just nothing. I got nothing. Just for Chivas, I don't even know what's gonna happen there if they don't get refuerzos. I don't see them being that much more competitive that they were. That always seems to be their downfall. They can never get the refuerzos to maintain their momentum.
Ron, thanks for joining us tonight. Closing thoughts?
Nothing. Just keep the mommy coming. Like I said, same thing with Juan, man. I got nothing, dude. I just, don't really expect much. You know, so
I agree.
hopefully we see better times in the future. You know, hopefully we see better times, but it is what it is.
For sure. Last but not least, El Rifado, thank you for returning, man. Definitely encourage you to become a regular on the show. We appreciate your takes. I don't know if you got anything for us.
For having me. I just want to reiterate what I said earlier about the Copa America. I'm optimistic. We're going to get out of the group, and hopefully we're in first place. It's really set up in our favor. For us to get a depleted, unorganized Jamaica as our first opponent. I know they have a physicality aspect that we struggle with sometimes, but I do feel like more so than the coach. I do have some trust and confidence in these players, even though they're a little lacking in some areas. So hopefully we can finish first, but I do feel confident that we will, at the very least, pass the group stages. And those are my closing thoughts. Thanks for having
You sound
me.
so young, so full of hope, so optimistic, bro. We've been beaten down by life and 30 years of this bullshit with the Mexican national team. But it's the young ones that keep us going and keep us alive. Thank you for joining us.
I recently saw the movie Major League. I hadn't seen it in a while.
Oh, that's a good
And
one.
it is, but it's like it just seems like I guess because we've seen their bullshit for 20, 30 plus years now. We're like like those fans, like when they in the movie, who the fuck are these guys? They like, and then
Yeah.
that like the Japanese, they suck. It seems like that we're right. We're like that. It's like, oh fuck. Like we have nothing to say, nothing positive to say about them. And then Rifado here, he's optimistic.
I know
I envy you.
Yeah. Hey, but everything's cyclical. You have your highs, you have your lows. You can't enjoy the sun unless you have the rain, and that's just where we are right now with the national team and Chivas. And my team relocating to Vegas definitely feels like Major League. But I do have a surprise for y'all. I'm gonna try to get it scheduled this week. But I've been seeing everyone ranking not the World Cup kits, the Copa America kits. So I'm just gonna do that for fun and put it on the YouTube channel. So keep your eye out on that on the Cantina MX Football Podcast. I think
Cool.
some of these kits that we've been getting are trash, and I don't know. I'm very opinionated, so I definitely want to rank them. Pretty soon we're gonna have Euro and Copa America action. So we are absolutely blessed by the football gods and blessed by our audience tonight. So thank you guys so much, and of course we'll catch you in the next one. Stay hydrated. YouTube, thank you guys. We had some good action there. Efren and Franklin, Disco Fever, of course. We appreciate y'all, and we'll catch you guys